At one point, I think I saw in the third quarter, Jacoby Brissett had 43 yards or something abysmal like that. And it might be Drake May time out there in New England. Chris Watkins, how you doing?
Good. Like you said, we're right around from the NBA season. I feel like the countdown can now officially start on Monday. We're 2 weeks out from Media Day. So, just excited to kind of get the calendar going. WNBA playoffs start this weekend. Baseball's wrapping up. We're getting full steam ahead into the sports calendar being at full tilt. So, feeling good on a Friday.
You know, it's funny that you say that because it is interesting that TV networks and streaming companies at this point in time, streaming businesses like Hulu, Netflix. It's funny that everything happens in the fall, right? A lot of shows, even nowadays, don't drop in the summer; they drop in the fall, and that's how it was back in the day. That's true, but it's funny to me that it all happens at one time. It feels like a missed opportunity. Because now you're battling. You're battling against all the sports. You're battling against everybody else dropping. There's no one out there that no streaming company that thinks, you know what, we're going to drop our best stuff in the summer or in the spring. It doesn't seem like it's all coming out in the fall. Yeah. It goes from, okay, what do we have to watch? Blah, 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 to there's literally too much right now. Or I should say in a couple weeks, everybody's ramping up and they're about to drop everything. So yeah, there is plenty to watch as it starts to get a little bit chilly out here because we are close to the mountains. And are you going to say goodbye, Chris? Are you
still 90 degrees out here for the next week and a half?
I know, but are you ready to say goodbye to the 2024 Sacramento summer?
Yes, I very, very much am, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. That's the problem.
Well, I don't know what's happening. Next week will be hot again.
It already is hot again. It's supposed to be 91 today. We got 96 over the weekend.
What's it going to be on the course tomorrow for us?
It says 90 tomorrow, but come back Monday. It's going to be 97, and then throughout the week, it's going to be high 90s as well. So it's not going anywhere. Well, I'll say bye to it when it's here to say bye to. But
that's fair enough.
It's going to be mid-October, and we're going to still be talking about it.
That's fair enough. But 90 degrees, that means it will be perfect weather for the UC Davis Aggies as they take on Utah Tech, the Trailblazers, and we have that ticket giveaway for you at 1 o'clock. The Stiles Watkins package, which it's a 4-pack, and it also comes with parking. So we will give that away at 1 o'clock. They've been going like hotcakes, so you have one more opportunity. If you're not doing anything tomorrow, you can definitely do that. Also, a little bit later in the show, we will let you know about the YOLO High Wheelers who bested my Oakland Ballers. But YOLO High Wheelers, they also play at UC Davis, and they have a game tonight as they look to stay alive in a 5-game series in the Independent Ball Pioneer League Championship Series. But we start here, Chris, and Nate has been running around, wanted to give him some time, but the time is now with Shohei Ohtani and a day for the ages. And he's given me hope, Chris. We haven't talked about hopium in a long time without the Kings playing, but yesterday I was pretty down on baseball, but I don't know, man, and I'm an optimistic person because I love the game so much, but just seeing everything after Shohei did it and the way 3 home runs, 10 RBIs. I mean, and we will hear from Skip Schumacher as well, the manager for the Marlins, really just standing on business. And, this is how everybody should approach things in baseball, and I think it would help. But here is how the 50th home run sounded last night when Shohei got it done.
1-2, Ohtani sends one in the air, the other way, back it goes, gone! One-of-a-kind player, one-of-a-kind season. Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
So after that, he went on to steal another base and hit another home run. And Shohei Ohtani not only started the 50-50 club, he started the 51-51 club. He has the highest WAR, I think, in the history of WARs for designated hitters. What he's been doing is out of control. And, oh, by the way, he is also a pitcher who is recovering from Tommy John. I mean, Chris, it was just outstanding, and we talked a lot about it before it happened. I don't want to sway you in any direction, but how did you feel once it happened and the coverage that he got once it happened?
I mean, yeah, it was a really awesome moment. It was an awesome night for baseball. It definitely felt like, a lot of people were keyed in to it happening. And I think, I always say on this show, like, to me, greatness is when you have incredibly high expectations and then a player somehow, some way is able to exceed even the wildest of expectations. And Shohei did it in the most showman way possible, is to have a night like he did, not just to, squeak by and have a weak coverage of, is he going to hit 50? Oh, man, he's been stuck at 50 for 7 days here. Yeah. Is today going to be the day? No, to just obliterate it, to have the sense of presence, to have the day he had, absolutely incredible. And I think it really was a moment where I had to kind of think about, man, is this really something that's transcendent? Is this potentially something that can be bigger than just the people who follow baseball? And it felt like if there ever was going to be something that did transcend just baseball fandom, it was a night like that. 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, and to have it be a 51-51 club now. I mean, it's absolutely insane. I don't know if he is going to save baseball. I don't know if he's going to fix all the problems in the immediate, but I mean, that is a great way of at least saying everything you hear about me. Yeah, it's true. And then some.
And I think you ended that right where I want to pick it up, because, when you watch some of the 30 for 30s on, Bo Jackson and some of these guys, Herschel Walker. Mm-hmm. I remember watching that 30 for 30, and it was, he could throw the stories. They sounded fake. They sounded like you were talking about Hercules, right, or, a mythological creature. And if you told somebody, mm-hmm, there's going to be a dude who is 6'5", who's going to steal 50 bags, hit 50 bombs in one season. He also pitches and throws upper 90s, and he's a starter for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the day that he made the 50-50 club an actual thing, because it's never happened before, he's going to hit 3 home runs, have 10 RBI, and he's going to steal a couple bases. You would think that you're lying. Yeah, you're lying. I mean, there's no way.
Turn off
that
the Sandlot, buddy.
Right. Or he's on steroids, and I don't think he is. He's just a big old dude, right? And I don't know. I guess I was saying it tongue in cheek during crosstalk about Shohei saving baseball, but I was more encouraged than I was on yesterday's show before it happened, because it felt quiet. We just woke up one day and it was, he's 2 away from doing this. He's 1-2, a couple home runs and a stolen base away from doing this. And it was so quiet getting to it, especially being on the Dodgers. That's what had me pessimistic. But after seeing the coverage and after seeing so many people outside of baseball even speaking on it, it made me feel better. Now, do I think he's going to save baseball? I think he could. I think that whenever you see something otherworldly, that changes things. And as much as I like Ronald Acuna Jr., and as much as there are a lot of good athletes, and I would dare say elite athletes right now in baseball, there's nothing like Shohei. I like Mookie Betts, but there's nothing like Shohei. And I do feel like very similar to a Michael Jordan type situation. We'll see what a Shohei does. And this is really where he could change some things. If you get, I will say, Chris, as much as, being in Sacramento and some of these other smaller markets, you want to give love to Arizona, you want to give love to, some of these other teams. If you get, I will finally shut it down and say, okay, baseball just can't hang anymore. If you get Dodgers, Yankees with Shohei and Judge in the World Series, I think not saving baseball, but it could bring baseball back to the forefront. Now, that's a lot of ifs. The Yankees, and I don't want, Frankie's listening, and Jason Ross, the Yankees haven't been able to take care of their end of the bargain, and the Dodgers only did it when there were only 60 games. But if you do get that, I could see kids watching that and seeing something legendary. I think that's been what has been missing, Chris, along with the swag and how things have changed. With Tom Brady, we watched something legendary. With LeBron James, we watched something legendary. In baseball, you had Mike Trout, but Mike Trout only went to the playoffs once, and it was a bit of an early exit. You haven't seen something legendary. Even the Giants, right? The Giants, what they did was so random. The team, maybe, that run was legendary, but you need legendary players. That's where this thing has gone in football. This is where this thing is going in basketball. And Shohei in the postseason, all eyes on me, RIP to Tupac. If he's able to do this and do it at a high level on the biggest stage, I think that it could not change anything. They'll still be number 3, but it'll be a much stronger number 3 than I feel like it is right now.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's got to perform in the playoffs. That's the next step here, because how many times have we, seen the story of, hey, this player did great in regular season, and then postseason comes and they look like a completely different player,
Rookie.
and then that ends up being the story is, oh yeah, Shohei has this ridiculously historic season, and then when his team actually needed him in the playoffs, he hit 165 and hit a home run and had an RB. It was a solo shot in a pointless game in which they lost. So, I mean, if he can continue it through the postseason, I mean, if he is 6 to 8 home runs, 15 RBI, he's hitting above 300 throughout the postseason, and then, like you say, he's making it all the way to the World Series with the Dodgers. I mean, that's really, how he can change some eyeballs, especially from, again, like the more casual perspective. That's how you make it into a spectacle, is if it starts to feel like, hey, you cannot miss a Shohei Ohtani game or a Shohei Ohtani at bat. It doesn't feel like that right now, but I do think come playoff, it felt like it yesterday, 100%, but I think come playoff time, if he is still humming at this level, that's where things can really, really change for baseball, just getting a ton of eyes on it. And again, if you can have people tuning in and expecting to see Shohei do something crazy, hit it to the 4th deck opposite field like he did yesterday or whatever, that's when you can really start to change some minds about not just Shohei, but also about baseball in general, where, I always thought this thing was really boring and I could never enjoy a baseball game, but here I am watching Shohei Ohtani every single day. And then when I'm at work at the water cooler, all I can think about is I can't wait to see game 2, game 3. I think that's really how things can change. But it's on Shohei to perform. And, it's a pressure that is only meant for a couple special people, and we'll see if he can pull through.
Yeah, and it's not just on Shohei, it's on the Dodgers to take care of business. Like I said, a lot of ifs. You got to get there, and they haven't been able to do it since 2020, and even longer if you're talking about a season that doesn't only have 60 games. So we got to see how that all unfolds. We will hear from Marlins manager Skip Schumacher when we return. And I really just respect how he went about his business, because the walking and the hitting guys, just get up there, say, this is my fastball. Let's see if you can hit it. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The Sacramento Kings play here.
He's got the triple. Sacramento takes the lead. Outstanding ball movement by Sacramento.
Every triple, every jam, every Kings win.
Sabonis with the jam over the Joker. He's got the 3-point shot.
Get your Kings fix all season long.
Right here on your home of the Sacramento Kings.
Here's a steal by Fox, the breakaway. He's got the rip with the left hand.
Sacktown Sports and SacktownSports.com.
You guys got a new Honda? Well, it was like this. My mom was driving me to school when, bam, our car started smoking. My mom wasn't happy, so she called my dad and said, honey, if you value your life and our marriage, you will take care of this now. So my dad calls up Stockton Honda and was like, can you get me approved for a new car and save my marriage? And they're all, sure, Mr. Jones, we do this every day. And just like that, Stockton Honda to the rescue.
StocktonHonda.com. She used to meet me on the side.
Khalid, live in concert. See him performing at the venue at Thunder Valley, Saturday, October 5th. Get tickets now at ThunderValleyResort.com. Don't miss the sensational Khalid for one night only at the venue at Thunder Valley, Saturday, October 5th. For more, visit KhalidOfficial.com.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
A lot of football to get to. About 15 minutes. We will hear from Rob Gronkowski on Up and Adams. And he says that the Niners are missing an it guy. But when he describes the it guy for the Patriots, it might not be what you are thinking. So we have that sound for you in about 15 minutes. But we are talking Shohei right now and is legendary. I mean, legendary doesn't even seem like an appropriate word, but it's the best word I can think of. And I wanted to get to this sound from Skip Schumacher, who was asked after the game if he thought about walking. I mean, the game, I think the Dodgers won, was it 12-3 or 14 something?
The game? No, it was 20-4.
20-4. Okay. All right. So it was a shellacking, and the Marlins aren't very good. But Skip Schumacher was asked about essentially standing on business and whether you thought about walking one Shohei Ohtani maybe after the first home run or the second home run or even the third. And this is what Skip Schumacher had to say.
I think that's a bad move, baseball wise, karma wise, baseball god wise. You go after him and see if you can get him out. And I think out of respect for the game, we're going to go after him. He hit the home run. I mean, that's just part of the deal. He's hit 50 of them. He's the most talented player I've ever seen. He is doing things that I've never seen done before in the game. And if he has a couple more of these peak years, he might be the best ever to play the game. So I just, as a fan, I wish I was in the stands, not in the dugout seeing it. But it's, I'm proud of like the guys that were attacking him and not scared of him.
I'm right there with him. And you wouldn't bean somebody in that situation, but even just the walking or throwing around. Now, if this is the playoffs, you got to be a little bit smarter. But in this situation, hey, man, I'm not, a lot of people don't want to be in the record books. They don't want to be, no team wants to get no hit. No pitcher wants to be the guy that gives up that home run. But there is a level of respect in that I'm gonna go at you. I'm not gonna throw around you. I'm not gonna walk you just because I don't want to be in the record books. And if my stuff isn't good enough that day, it is what it is. When Skip Schumacher, and it's something that I don't really think about, Chris, because I have the Griffey and Barry Bonds blinders are, but and even Mike Trout to some degree, when Skip Schumacher said, as obvious as it should sound, he is the most talented baseball player I've ever seen. I never really thought about it like that in a weird way, just because, and maybe I'm taking Shohei for granted, but I think he should be everybody's most talented player that they've ever seen, because you've never seen, at least unless you're that you've seen and not counting Babe Ruth or something like that. Yeah, his ability to pitch that he didn't even do this season and to turn it on and be one of the best pitchers and hitters in the game at the clip that he's doing it at, and later in his career, I honestly don't know how long he'll pitch, to be completely honest with you, but the way he hits the ball and can steal bags. I mean, when you talk about 5-tool player, that actually doesn't even describe Shohei Ohtani. He is more than a 5-tool player, and I think I'm right there with Skip Schumacher. Once he said it, I kind of just, not that I didn't think so before, but he's clearly the most talented baseball player I've ever seen. And I just got to give kudos to the Marlins. I mean, yeah, they got embarrassed, but I mean, their season is already tanked. You might as well go out there and say, I'd rather sit there and say, yeah, I struck Shohei out, or I attempted to get him out and he hit a bomb off me, rather than, I didn't want to wet the bed. So I walked him. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the problem with baseball, is that there shouldn't even be a conversation of, hey, yeah, we walked it. Like that's getting in your own way, right? Mm-hmm. Like if they would have had the mentality of, oh my gosh, we don't want to be the team that Shohei gets 50'd on, or he gets 50 on. I think, you don't have a day like yesterday. You don't get a really special moment that's going to be talked about in baseball history forever. And I think that's always been my problem with the unwritten rules or things like this, is that feels like baseball's getting actively in its way. We talked about it earlier with the Paul Skeens getting taken out in the 8th inning when he had a no-hitter. It's just like, you sometimes have these opportunities for really, really amazing moments that can transcend just the everyday baseball watcher. And, a lot of the time baseball gets in the way, and it's great that, there's still people in the game, inside the game, like Schumacher, that aren't afraid to, get shelled maybe for a game in the sake of just kind of sportsman. I don't even know if you would call it sportsmanship, right, but it's just, like he said, respecting the game. It's not going around just because, oh, this guy's too good for us, and so we're just going to admit defeat and walk him. Like, I think I love the mentality. And again, it leads to a historic night like we had yesterday. So I really appreciate it. And I think that there's more people in baseball who do need to have, I don't know if you would call it a thicker skin, but be okay with, oh my gosh, yeah, this guy was just individually great tonight. I think baseball could definitely use more individual greatness. So we can have more historically fun nights like last night.
Yeah. And I'm looking here, Chris, I know you gave that score, but the bottom line is, I mean, you are already getting smacked.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody.
It was 12-4 when Shohei hit his first.
And that's what I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I didn't know they got all the way to 20. But at that point, it's, look, man, whether you're going to keep this job or not is not going to be based upon whether it was 20-4, like Chris said. So I don't think the higher ups are going to say, well, you only lost 15-4 at that, or 12-1, whatever the case may be. So you got to go out there and see if you can get this guy. So again, 6 for 6, 4 runs scored, 10 RBIs, 3 home runs. Just an incredible day for one Shohei Ohtani, as the Dodgers, who have had some issues with pitching, seems like they seem to have issues with pitching every single season. The Dodgers trying to get somewhere that they haven't gotten to since 2020, and even longer if you're talking about a full 162 game season. So we give our kudos to Shohei, the most exciting player, and I would say the most talented player that I've ever seen, and he is just getting started. Really excited to see what he does when he gets back on the bump. But first, can the Dodgers get back to the World Series and do it? And can the Yankees, or another kind of, it's not going to be the Red Sox. The Red Sox stink this year, but can it be another big market team to kind of create a rivalry that we haven't had in a very long time in baseball? Because Lord knows we need it. Coming up next, do the Niners need an it guy? Gronk says they do. We'll tell you what he means and who is the it guy on his Patriots team when we return. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt, and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny. When I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
Hey, I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all of that. We find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Sacramento, Dirk Bentley's coming to town.
Getting drunk on a plane.
For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park for Country in the Park 2.
What was I thinking?
And he's bringing some friends. Beverly.
I want to close your eyes for this.
Tyler Rich. Dasha. And more. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITVFest.com.
Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House. If you're not looking for a brand new car, at Elk Grove Honda, we've acquired some of the best pre-owned cars we can find. We've kept only the best of our trades, and our buyer has found some of the finest pre-owned Hondas available in Northern California. You can see for yourself at elkgrovehonda.com. Whether you purchase a brand new Honda or a like-new pre-owned Honda, your car buying experience will be the same. We have the right Honda at the right price. You'll find us in the Elk Grove Auto Mall, Highway 99 and Elk Grove Boulevard.
I gotta get an Elk Grove Honda.
They say the hardest part of getting something done is getting started. Well, we did that 30 years ago when California first took on the tobacco industry. Now, smoking is down 60%, lung cancer 42%. A couple of our cities have already ended tobacco sales. A California without big tobacco isn't just possible, it's already happening. See our progress at undo.org.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Bye, Kyle. Kyle Ledbetter is taking off for the day. Everybody say bye, Kyle. That was one thing I had, Chris, when I was doing the ballers. I think you'll like this one. So when I would do some calls, right, if there was a home run or a double or whatever the case may be.
Raindrop.
Whatever the case may be, if someone hit a home run, I would say, Chris Watkins, 2-run shot, home run. Everybody get up and say bye to that baseball. Say bye, ball, and everybody would get up and wave.
At the ballers?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone would get up and wave?
Everyone.
It's not bad.
Everyone.
I like it. Not bad.
You like that?
It's like an all rise for the
That's
ballers.
right. Say bye to that baseball. Say bye, ball.
Bye, ball. Feels like you're talking to your daughter a little bit, though. Say bye, ball. Bye.
I think that just happens,
Yeah.
You just. But
it works with the kids. We're all just big kids.
Pets, kids, same idea, right? All part of the same miracle. Exactly. And speaking of saying bye to things, Gronk thinks that the Niners may say bye to their Super Bowl hopes if they do not find an it guy. And I found this, and Gronk was one of those guys. I think, Chris, you and I talked about this, how he duped everybody, how he was just this frat guy, and then he retires, and all of a sudden he's got actually good analysis for the most part when he wants to. So this is Gronk on Up and Adams, and I think he might be doing a weekly hit or something like that with Kay Adams as well, because a lot of clips with him going around. And Gronk says that the Niners do not have an it guy. Here it is.
Deebo Samuel, he'll miss a couple of weeks with a calf injury. Some people, critics, if you will, they're saying that Purdy's only successful because of the guys that are around him and the system. How will he do without his stars, do you think?
That will definitely give us a test to see where Purdy is. You got Samuel going to be out. Christian McCaffrey's going to be out.
Who do they have this week?
But
Let me look.
they got so many weapons. I don't know why they're not producing. Why are they not putting up points like the New Orleans Saints every single week, week in and week out? That's the problem with the 49ers last year as well, is that they dominated some games, and then some games they just didn't show up and they couldn't produce. They should be producing week in and week out, especially with offensive-minded coach Kyle Shanahan, and then with all the weapons that they have. They need that it guy. I feel like they got a lot of weapons, but they just don't have like an it guy to turn it up. Yeah, Ayuk, he's a great guy, but look, he was holding out the whole time. George Kittle, they're great players. But I'm talking, you need an it guy, like an it guy. Edelman was an it guy.
Are you telling me that Kittle's not an it guy?
He's an it guy, but I'm talking when it comes to crunch time, it's, hey, feed me that ball. I feel like, they're great playmakers, and they all rely on the other one to make the play because there's so many great weapons,
So I thought I knew what Gronk was talking about until the very end, but the Patriots were always confusing because besides the Randy Moss years, Edelman was actually one of their main dudes, or they kind of not started, but they were one of those situations where Gronk was really their main receiver. So it's at first it sounded like a guy that it was like an Amon-Ra, just feed me, Tyreek Hill, feed me. Then when he said Julian Edelman, it made me feel like he's talking more about in the crunch, but he's also saying that the Niners should be smacking other teams. Do you feel like the Niners are missing an it guy, Chris?
No, absolutely not. I mean, maybe for this week you can make that argument, but I mean, even then, like I think that they definitely have somebody who would qualify as an it guy on most teams. Like I think if Brandon Ayuk's on the Patriots, like we're probably calling Brandon Ayuk an it guy. If George Kittle is on the Buccaneers, we're calling George Kittle a good weapon for Baker Mayfield to throw it to. So I don't agree with Gronk at all. I mean, I think the Niners, if anything, have the most it guys in the NFL. I don't quite know exactly what he's referring to. Maybe he's talking more so about, when I think of Julian Edelman, I think of that crazy catch in the Falcons game. Yeah. Maybe he is talking about, hey, when it is real, like push comes to shove, like we were talking about yesterday with that number 3 and 5 in single possession games. Maybe that's what he's talking about is, hey, final drive of the game, who do the Niners go to? I don't think they know, but I think they don't know because, again, they have so many different options to go.
Maybe that's the problem.
That they really don't have a singular one, or they just really haven't been put in those positions. I just don't agree. I mean, even the thing that he was saying about the Niners offense not really being he compares it to the Saints, but, I mean, the Saints have had a good 2 weeks. The Niners put up 30 in just about every single win they had last year. So I don't really know what Gronk's talking about there. I think, I don't know. It kind of sounds like he said something and then was like, now I'm kind of caught in this take and I have to defend it. But I just think the Niners have again, I would say they have the most it guys of any team in the NFL.
And maybe that's the issue. Jack of all trades, master of none. My issue with it was that first he was talking about when I think it guy, I'm thinking crunch time in the clutch.
Sure.
So at first he's saying the Niners should be blowing teams out. Then he goes back and says that Julian Edelman was their it guy. And when I think of Julian Edelman, Bay Area guy, by the way, when I think of Julian Edelman, I think of Julian Edelman as the crunch, the clutch guy. So he said you should be blowing teams out, but they also need a guy in the clutch. So that was what was kind of confusing to me. When I think about the Niners offense, I do think there is an it guy. To me, Brandon Ayuk is the guy who keeps everybody on schedule. That's why with Brandon Ayuk not at 100%, they have not looked or not. He's at 100%, but the rust factor is still a factor as well. To me, when I think about the Niners, I think that Debo is that Julian Edelman in the clutch. When you need a play, you go to Debo. So I would say that the conversation of the Niners, we can more so maybe focus on the Niners. Should they be winning by more, which is Kyle Shanahan maybe being a little bit too conservative. But the it guy conversation, to me, I think you're saying that there are a lot of it guys. I think that when you need something done, you call Debo. That's how I feel about it. So either way, we might be saying two different things, but either way, I
think we're kind of saying the same thing. I just think that Debo is one of them all.
Sure,
I think definitely Debo might be the one that they like to go to, but I don't see why Christian McCaffrey couldn't be the it guy or why Brandon Ayuk couldn't be the it guy. Like you're saying, maybe Debo is the one that I've only really watched Niner games for the entirety of last year, and then the games this year. Maybe Debo's the guy that they tend to go to, but I just think that in general, every single one of the Niners' weapons, which is the part that makes them so difficult to deal with, all of them are incredibly capable of being game changers, and all of them can definitely create explosive plays out of nowhere. I mean, we saw last year Kittle have a couple touchdowns, long touchdowns to start second halves. Of course, Debo in general is just their best gadget. And then, Ayuk takes the top off the defense, the fluke to Ayuk. Like, that was a game-changing play. That's a play that an it player makes. It was pretty much the same exact play that Julian Edelman made in that Super Bowl. A little bit easier, I guess, but similar kind of gotta-have-it fashion, and it completely changed the course of the game. So, again, I don't really know exactly what Gronk's getting at there. I think the Niners are the team, the last team that you should say they don't have an it guy on. And we're just talking about the offensive end too. We're not talking about their defensive playmakers, in which they have an it guy in Nick Bosa, and they have an it guy in Fred Warner, who's just creating turnovers left and right. So, I mean, I just don't think it's true. And I think the Niners are better suited than just about anybody in the league to withstand the injuries they have. And I still think they should be able to handle all the teams pretty easily, even without their surplus of stars.
Yeah, the only thing, and I alluded to it a couple minutes ago, could be maybe a hierarchy conversation, but that's and with the Patriots, they didn't have as many weapons, so there wasn't that type of hierarchy conversation. It was, you're at the goal line or anything like that. It's Gronk, but Julian Edelman is that guy who he was just slippery and was able to find his way through defenses and find a way open. So that would be the only thing I could maybe see what Gronk is saying. Hey, when it's in the clutch, is it McCaffrey? And we could take it to the court, right? With two clutch players now on the same team with DeMar DeRozan and De'Aaron Fox. And we've had conversations about whether or not this will be a question mark for them moving forward. But it's, hey, 10 seconds left. Is it De'Aaron? Is it DeMar DeRozan? And is it Malik Monk? And I think a lot of the answers that we've had so far has been, it's based on the game. And I think that's how the Niners have kind of gone about it, where it's, if Brandon Ayuk's been hot, it's going to be Brandon Ayuk. If Debo's been hot, it's going to be Debo. If McCaffrey's been rolling, it's going to be McCaffrey. Whereas you do have the Kansas City Chief type of situations where it's somebody. I saw a meme, Chris, earlier this week because Travis Kelce, and sorry to fantasy owners, Travis Kelce has just been, he just hasn't been around these first couple of weeks, where it said Travis Kelce is going to be non-existent all season long and make the biggest third and long catch we've ever seen to win the Super Bowl or to get to the Super Bowl. And he is that number one it guy for the Chiefs. But again, that's because all season, what did we say? The Chiefs barely have enough weapons. Right. So I think the Niners would rather be, and just like the Kings would rather be in this conversation. Absolutely. Where it's, I don't know who it's going to be tonight versus, well, we know who it's going to be because we ain't got nobody else.
Yeah, the problem with having an it guy is everybody knows who it is, yes. Right? So you can really just boggle down and say, we are not going to let player X kill us because we know that's who they like to go to. And again, that's where I'll say, go ahead and take out Debo. Go ahead and take out Brandon Ayuk. Try and take out Christian McCaffrey if you can. You're probably just wasting your time because you're just making it easier for another one of their weapons to take over. And it's the thing that makes them so difficult. It makes them so unique. And to me, it's the most talented roster in the NFL for that exact reason. At least at a top end standpoint, they shouldn't be able, or they shouldn't have any problems missing anybody because, in theory, all of their players should be able to step up, right? Like we talked about during the offseason, how we were a bit confused at George Kittle still having the second most receiving yards amongst tight ends last year, and it didn't really even feel like they involved him a ton. I think this is a great opportunity for not just Brandon Ayuk, obviously, making that $30 million, an opportunity for him to justify it, but also for George Kittle to kind of, say, there's a lot of talk about Sam Laporta. There's a lot of talk about Travis Kelce, but let's not forget, I'm 30 years old and I still got some years in me to be a top tight end. So I will just harp on the fact that the Niners should be totally fine, even without all of the superstars that they're still missing.
Plenty of Niners conversation coming up in the 11 o'clock hour, but we've talked a lot about this guy, number one overall pick. Let's actually hear from him. And I really think that once you hear what he had to say, you might believe in him a little bit more than you did. We'll tell you who it is, and we'll play that audio when we return. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The NFL's leading rusher plays here.
A handoff to McCaffrey, walks in the end zone. Handoff to McCaffrey, takes it right down to the goal line. He does his thing again. McCaffrey goes in motion right. Backwards pass led by Juszczyk. A block there. Hurdles a man. 10-5. Touchdown! CMC!
You can hear all of Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns on your home for 49ers football. Sacktown Sports.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family.
They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Hello, I'm Frank Cockrell with the Retirement Security Center for the weekly economic update. The long-awaited rate cut cycle has begun as the Federal Reserve cut rates by 0.5% on Wednesday. The decision for the larger rate cut was due to some concerns over the labor market and the belief that the journey towards the target inflation rate of 2% is in sight. What is next for stock market investors? The S&P 500 surged more than 21% when the rate-cutting cycle began in 1995, while it fell more than 10% in 2001 after the dot-com bubble burst. The market went down in 2007 when rates were cut, but increased in 2019. So the answer to what's next may be in the why, as in why did the Fed cut rates? If the Fed eases rates due to recession fears versus an effort to get interest rates closer to a base rate, you could see market reductions. When you see earnings growth in concert with rate cuts, that could be a positive for disciplined investors. Expectations of earnings growth in 2024 are 15%, higher than the 12.8% expectation at the beginning of the year. How might this affect you or your family? Please go to frankontheradio.com to schedule an appointment, watch videos, and receive market updates. I'm ready to help you start your journey so you can define your future.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Osaic FA Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Osaic FA is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Osaic FA.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. Connect to the most reliable 5G network nationwide. Well, opportunity is a big part of September baseball, and in the case of the A's lefty Brady Basso, it's been a bit of a twisting path. When he took the mound for the Athletics against the White Sox on Friday the 13th, he was beginning his fifth stint with the ball club this year. He went out and fired 5 1/3 innings of shutout baseball that night to earn his first major league win.
Want to save on some of the biggest names in streaming on the network made for streaming? Now through September 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for 12 months with a 1-year contract. And for just $15 a month, add the new Stream Saver that includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix for just $35 a month. Switch at Xfinity.com today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Currently $54 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity internet or TV and price subject to change.
When an overwhelmed injury victim calls Ashton or Price, we immediately remove their legal burden and introduce them to the very best medical care in the region. They focus on their health and we handle all the rest. When they reach the end of their medical journey and are reunited with happiness and hope, we unleash our decades of legal experience to obtain maximum compensation. We are real, local, experienced litigators and snappy dressers too. Consultation's free and there's never a fee until we win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
The last 6 Sacramento Rivercats games of the 25th anniversary season are packed with promotions and theme nights. Join us for Hispanic Heritage Night on September 17th, the Rivercats Golfer Hat Giveaway on September 20th, our inaugural Harry Potter Night on September 21st, and cap off the homestand with Fan Appreciation Day for the final game of the season on Sunday, September 22nd. Make your way to the ballpark for a farewell to the Rivercats of 2024. Visit rivercats.com to purchase tickets today.
Sacramento Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. They believe it's all about people and choices. Their goal is to find the car that fits your lifestyle. With their huge inventory of models, they've got the right car and more importantly, at the right price every time. Experience for yourself why their customers drive away smiling. Discover the difference because it's not just about the car, it's also about the people. Experience the Sacramento Dodge Jeep and Chrysler difference off Business 80 next to Hagen Oaks, or you can find them online, SacSuperstore.com.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
We have an opportunity to win UC Davis tickets at 1 p.m. to see the Utah Tech Trailblazers. And it's a family 4-pack that includes parking And hit up Nate on social media. He will tell you all the places around UC Davis to check out. Isn't that right, Nate?
Sure. I'm not on Twitter though.
And you need to stop that. Can you just get one, please?
Why?
I just think you need one.
For what? I don't think anyone would like listen to anything I have to say.
No. You don't have to say anything.
Memes.
For the memes?
Yeah, for the Moo Dang memes.
Oh, Moo Dang. I did see Moo Dang yesterday. I forgot to tell you.
Told you.
He's cute.
Sure.
He's funny.
You'd see more on Twitter.
Yeah.
We need you.
Don't hippos kill the most people? Like
they're pretty
animals?
violent.
Yeah.
They're
very violent.
Yeah.
They're cute looking.
Not to mess around.
They're about
you ever
about
run
that
into
business.
a hippo in the wild? Go the
No,
other
I'm
way.
good. And also like baby bears too. I want to hold a baby bear so bad, but I never will.
I was mad I didn't see any bears in Tahoe.
Oh, really? You were mad?
Yeah. Just wanted to see one from
They're
afar.
usually pretty docile, all things considered. We had one come into a backyard at
Same.
an Airbnb
Yeah, same.
and scared it off. It was
Scared us off.
Yeah. We had to make some noise and get it out.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Not fun.
There you go. Well, speaking of bears and speaking of dogs, I guess if you want to go to those type of animals, Bryce Young, people are curious if there's a bear or dog in Bryce Young.
Speaking of Panthers,
yes, there you go. Bryce Young, we've talked a lot about him, and we finally, Chris, this is one of the first times I've actually heard him talk about besides what was the Heisman and things like that. And, kudos, not to get into the media conversation, but they were asking him some tough questions. It was in front of his locker, but they were asking, do you think the Panthers gave you enough time? Is there anything that you would do differently? What's your confidence level at? And I was really impressed, Chris. And I'm starting to see why. Look, athleticism and tools, all that put aside, as far as the young man that he is and the way he kind of takes accountability, I was really impressed by how he answered this question. Here it is.
I don't think that's up for me to decide. Again, I had, there's a lot of plays that, for last year in these first two games, every for the most part, every snap hit my hands, and I didn't do enough with it at the end of the day. I take accountability for that. There's plays, there's stuff, there's a long list of things that, I wish I was better at, and I'm going to continue to work to grow and improve on and be better at. So I'm always going to look in the mirror. I don't, circumstances are what they are for not just me, but for everyone. Everyone's dealing with something. Everyone has circumstances. And, if I went out there and played better and we won games, at the end of the day, that falls on me that didn't happen, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. So, right now I am where I am, and all I can do is try to be better each and every day.
So the question was, like I said, they asked him a couple tough ones, but that one specifically was, do you think you were given enough time? And that is how he answered that. And I got to say, guys, I don't think you could have answered that any better. I thought that was a spot on answer. He took accountability. It doesn't change the fact that he hasn't played well. I think he understands that, there are a couple of different reasons why he hasn't played well, but he didn't get into it. He just wore it. And I don't know if he's going to be a dude in the league, and I don't even know if he's going to be a starter, but I do think that this type of mindset will help him get where he needs to go.
Sure. Yeah. It was a great answer, but he's got a long road ahead of him. And, it's going to take a lot of on the field progression. And, as I've kind of been thinking about that situation, I don't know if it's ever going to come up without Andy Dalton just completely, it feels like this situation's probably going to be pretty permanent for at least the time being. I feel like Bryce has a long way back to where, they have to feel really good about him in order to put him back in. And, I hope he keeps that same mentality just because I just don't think that the season's going to go easy for him. I don't think he's going to get traded or anything like that. I just hope he keeps that same mentality because the amount of things he's been through in this rookie season in a couple games and some change, that takes a long time to kind of get that mentally off your brain. And I just can't imagine how tough it's going to be for him to watch the game on Sunday and then, have to continually, it's one thing to, the week of put on a good face and, be the captain that you were voted to be. But, a couple weeks down the line when it doesn't feel like you're going to get that opportunity or that shot. And maybe everybody's a little bit happier because the offense is playing a little bit better. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's going to be a long road ahead for Bryce Young. So hopefully he can keep that same mentality. But I just don't know if the opportunity is going to come anytime soon.
Yeah, and look, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. You know, we'll talk about what I've done back in my day, and I've lost a spot before. And the number one thing, I've lost a starting spot before, and it's a very tough situation because you're rooting. Obviously, you want the team to win, but you kind of don't. You want something off, right? I mean, you need on the outside, you're saying let's go Andy, but inside, please throw a pick.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. When I'm in, I'm on the bench and the guy who came in for me in left field or center field, whatever the case may be, he's up to bat, and call me a bad teammate if you want, but I'm trying to get back in, man. And I understand there's a reason that I'm in this situation, but this guy goes ding dong Donkey Kong. I'm on the bench for 3 more games, so I think Bryce on the outside is obviously a Panther fan and wants Andy Dalton to do well, but you can book it that he would like to see Max Crosby have a pretty darn good game. Sure. That's just the reality of the situation. I mean, because you're right. I mean, if Andy Dalton even looks, I think the problem is Chris is such a low line.
Yeah, he threw 84 yards last year. It's like
and he throws 150 and it looks competent. Yeah. Against a pretty darn good Raiders defense.
Right.
We got to rock and roll. I mean, Xavier Leggett and his country accent that everybody likes to have a lot of fun with, and he's having a lot of fun with it. He was asked about not getting targeted, right? And he said it was a bit frustrating. I mean, what if even if they lose, but Xavier Leggett, their top wide receiver pick, balls out? Hey, at least Andy can get the ball to our number 1 guy.
Right.
So. And that, as we talk about, his number 1 guy is Adam Thielen. They did go out and get a wide receiver who's supposed Deontay Johnson. They drafted Xavier Leggett, who is supposed to be possibly a diet type Debo situation, something like that. So we don't have nothing. And if Andy Dalton, again, this is an opportunity for the front office to make themselves look better, because if Andy Dalton goes out and it's even a close game with the Raiders coming off of that great win in Baltimore, I'm sorry, Bryce. If it's a close game, Chris, that's 2 more games on the pine.
Yeah, I mean, even if Andy Dalton doesn't play well, I mean, I just can't see them going back. When you make a decision like they made, I mean, that is not just that decision. Something tells me has been more than 2 weeks in the making. I mean, to me, that's pretty big signifier that they've been thinking about that for a while. I mean, to go 2 weeks in and just say, look, we've seen enough. We were already thinking about putting Andy in there because everything looked better, but 2 weeks of this kind of play, and it pretty much cements it for him. Is just, I just can't see them going back to Bryce, and I do wonder, is somebody going to try and bring him in? Will the Dolphins maybe look at him? Will there be some other teams out there that maybe give him a look? I just don't think so. I think that his value from the Panther side of things is going to be too great. I don't think they're going to want to move on from him for nothing. And I don't know why, if you are another team, you would throw any sort of valuable pick to go get him. He just hasn't shown anything that would make you believe that he's worth taking that kind of gamble on. I think it's going to be a really long year for Bryce Young, and I don't even know what it would take to get him in that new in a opportunity if it's not Andy Dalton going down with an injury. So I just think that this is kind of maybe the beginning of the end, at least for his time in Carolina, and I wouldn't be surprised if again, barring injury, I don't know if we'll see him again the rest of the year.
Yeah. Unless the Panthers just have no clue what they're doing. Which is also possible.
Yeah, that's very possible.
Which is also possible. Yeah. Well, we know that Brock Purdy knows what he's doing, but should it be on Brock to keep this team afloat and to take on more with some of his weapons out? Is this an opportunity for Brock Purdy to silence the haters? Mike Silver had an article, and we're going to read some excerpts from it, from the San Francisco Chronicle. And I'm going to tell you this much. We're going to go over it. I do not agree with some of the things that Mike Silver is saying. Let's see if you do. Let's talk about it. Stiles Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Subscribe to Sacktown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys, live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus, view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sacktown Sports.
What's up? We're talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Chad, what's going on for Ram Power Days?
If you've been looking for the right hard-to-find Ram heavy duty, great news. We have them. And right now you can save up to $15,500 off MSRP on the new 2024 Ram 2500s.
You always seem to have the best deals and biggest selection of Ram trucks.
That's why we are California's #1 Ram truck dealer and #3 in the nation. Plus, we have over 400 new Ram trucks available, including those hard-to-find heavy duties. Your perfect truck is waiting at the Hoblet Ram Truck Center.
Find your new heavy-duty Ram in the Hoblet Ram Truck Center. See their whole inventory at HobletDodge.com. And remember to check out the Hoblet Used Car Super Center in downtown Woodland with over 50 cars under 20 grand. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblet, period.
15,500 total net savings on select new Ram 2500 tradesmen's after 9,000 factory rebates, 6,500 dealer discounts. Rebates include 3,000 Hoblet select inventory coupons, 2,000 Hoblet trade-in assistance, must have qualifying trade-in, and 2,000 on-the-job incentive for qualifying business owners. At least 5 of this net savings. See dealer for details.
Advanced Infusion Center, where we prioritize your comfort and well-being. Whether you're managing a chronic condition or seeking specialized IV therapy, our state-of-the-art center offers tailored solutions to meet your needs. Advanced Infusion Center's dedicated healthcare professionals are here to ensure your safety and provide personalized care. Conveniently located in Sacramento and Yuba City with flexible scheduling options. Experience a new standard in infusion therapy. Visit Advanced Infusion Center today at advancedinfusion.com.
For most of the people that walk in our store, it's been an ongoing, nonstop issue, and they're finally walking into the Good Feet store. Okay, the guy that came into my store last year that has had plantar fasciitis for 30 years. I looked at him, I said, "Are you kidding me? I've been here for 14. Where have you been?" I helped relieve a problem that's plagued him for 30 years. I mean, how do you not go home and talk about that?
Come to the Good Feet store now for a free fitting and test walk.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Drapes, Kyle Draper. As the proud sponsor of the Sacramento Kings Mop Crew, Alsco Uniforms offers certified hygienically clean lab coats, scrubs, bed linens, towels, floor mats, and an array of mops tailored for your healthcare facility. Our services include convenient delivery to your doorstep. Leading the way in healthcare laundry services in Northern California, discover why it pays to keep clean with Alsco Uniforms. Go to alsco.com to learn more. Again, that's alsco.com.
Hey, get ready. Here comes your Sacktown Sports live events calendar. You don't want to miss Winona Judd at Hard Rock Live on September 28th. And on October 4th, comedy legend Rob Schneider is bringing the laughs to Hard Rock Live Sacramento. Space out with Weezer for the Voyage to the Blue Planet Tour 2024 at the Golden One Center on October 8th. And looking further ahead into October, Alec Benjamin brings his soulful vibes to Hard Rock Live Sacramento on the 16th. Then on October 17th, catch the hilarious Ronnie Chang at the Bob Hope Memorial Theater in Stockton. On October 20th, Renee Vaca brings his hilarious stand-up to the Crest Theater in Sacramento. And finally, gear up for the ultimate Halloween bash with a $5,000 costume contest. It's Sinners and Saints Saturday at Thunder Valley on October 26th. Costumes, music, and plenty of thrills. Get all the event details at sacktownsports.com and stay locked on to Sacktown Sports for your chance to win tickets.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios. KHTKAM Sacramento. KYMX HD2 Sacramento. Sacramento's official home for the San Francisco 49ers.
Touchdown! San Francisco!
Sacktown Sports.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
If you want to be considered elite and you have an opportunity to show that you are elite, why wouldn't you take that opportunity? Well, of course, Brock is going to take that opportunity. We have that sound that we'll play for you. But there are some fans, media, we've talked about it throughout the week, but before the game plays this weekend, Chris and I really want to break down our feelings on the opportunity that Brock has. And I came across a very interesting article from one Mike Silver. And Mike Silver essentially feels the opposite, that Brock doesn't have to do too much. And Nate, definitely want you to hop in on this one. This is the title of the article. I'm going to read a couple excerpts and then we are going to give our thoughts. 916-339-1140 if you want to give your thoughts as well. Mike Silver, again, great columnist for this SF Chronicle. Love his stuff. It's always well thought out. But that doesn't mean we always have to agree. This is what he says. Should 49ers Brock Purdy be expected to shoulder the burden for banged up team? This is what he writes. We've all heard the talk in the wake of injuries to two of the Niners essential skill players about what supposedly needs to happen next. Third-year quarterback Brock Purdy, we're told, must step up and carry the team to keep the 49ers from falling into an early season hole and to prove he deserves a massive contract extension in 2025. It's the type of toxic advice that runs counter to Purdy's actual mission. And I have a 4-word rebuttal. Get off Brock's jock. Purdy is already one of the league's best quarterbacks, and he's absolutely ascending. He'll get the bag after the season. Kyle Shanahan decided that long ago, perhaps even before Christmas of 2022. And by then, it will be obvious that he deserves every penny. In the meantime, as the Niners prepare for Sunday's showdown with the injury-ravaged Rams at SoFi Stadium, the absolute worst thing Purdy could do would be to overextend, to force things to try to do too much. He goes on to say Purdy's stock is shooting up, and his ability to exercise restraint is a big reason why. Different star quarterbacks have different superpowers. He may not make spectacular, athletically amazing plays like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes, but Purdy, via ultra-quick processing, hyper-accurate and touch-laced passes, and smart decision-making, stands out in his own way. Last thing I'll kind of get to here, guys. This means that the burden of Christian McCaffrey's stint on the injured reserve and Deebo Samuel's debilitating calf injury falls on Shanahan, who will have to adjust his game plan and play calling strategies to account for the absence of two of the NFL's most versatile and potent playmakers. Purdy's job remains the same. Receive those plays and execute them at the highest level, regardless of who else is on the field. He goes on to write, there are a couple quotes here. He's just got to be Brock Purdy. That's what Fred Warner says. And he says, Mike Silver does, not forcing things is one of the reasons Purdy threw for a 49ers record 4,280 yards in 2023 while leading the league with a 113 passer rating, the 14th highest single season mark in NFL history. And this is where I'll end it. Yeah, he's already that dude. Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I actually agree with Silver for the most part there. I do think that Brock is already, he's going to get paid. Like it is what it is. There's no way that he's not going to go get that paycheck that he's already earned. I think it's also a fact that the Niners just aren't in a position to do anything else. Like, what are they going to do? Hold out and not have Brock be their quarterback of the future? They're pretty much tied to him at this point. They're not going to pivot away and draft another rookie quarterback or anything like that. Like, they are committed to Brock Purdy as their quarterback long-term. And if they don't pay him for some reason, some other team would. I just fully believe that the Niners have already made their decision. I don't know even if it's going to fluctuate his price at all. I feel like they already feel pretty confident in the quarterback that Brock is, and they would probably push it to the side if he doesn't play well these weeks. I'm sure that they would say, hey, this isn't going to be the case for most games when we have Brock. Brock will have the full staff of complementary weapons, and this really isn't indicative to the guy that we're going to be paying, because he'll be playing with a completely different team. I just think I also agree with him saying that this is mostly on Kyle. Like, if Brock, you get in trouble when you try and do too much, when you overextend, when you try and make plays that aren't initially there, and you try and rely on talent. To me, this is exactly like Mike Silver said. It's more on Kyle Shanahan figuring out, okay, I don't have these weapons. How do I make this game plan as easy as possible for the guys that are out there? Because, again, we still do have the talent advantage, especially on the offensive end. To me, it's on Kyle Shanahan to get the right game plan to make the game look as easy as possible for Brock.
The argument of whether or not they have to pay Brock, I think, is almost not separate, but the conversation or what Mike Silver said that kind of got not my blood boiling, but really piqued my interest was that, somebody basically quote tweeted what Mike Silver put out. And they said, we've had to have all these conversations about this is JNay_LSS Jesse. He's a podcaster for the Niners. And he said, Kyle Shanahan is 1-9, or excuse me. He talks about how we just mentioned, or people have been arguing about whether or not Brock is elite. But now with Brock not having all of his weapons, it's, hey, this is on Kyle Shanahan. This is on other people, right? And that to me is kind of how I feel. It was from Rich Madrid, by the way. Sorry. But that's kind of how I feel about this, Chris. I understand what you're saying as far as they're going to have to pay Brock. But my question is, or I guess my stance on it is, we can't sit here. If I had Brock in my top 7, then I'm not going to sit here when Brock still has, well, we don't know if Kittle will play, but assuming Kittle plays, Brock still has Kittle. He still has Juwan Jennings. He still has a $30 million wide receiver in Brandon Ayuk. If I have you in my top 7, I'm expecting you to be able to elevate. I don't think that he should force the issue and do things, but it's just kind of the way that Mike Silver wrote it, that nothing is on Brock Purdy to kind of elevate the guys. That is my issue. I understand that Kyle has to make a different game plan. I understand that we don't want Brock Purdy to try to do too much, but at the same time, if I have you in my top 7 quarterbacks, and you're missing a couple different guys, yeah, I'm expecting Brock to have to do more than he normally does. And if I'm going to pay you $50 million plus, you should be able to do that. That's how I feel about it.
My question would just be, what is do more? Is it like throwing receivers open that aren't open? Is it he needs to throw 40, 50 times in a game?
I know there, even with Debo, what was it? The separation rate was super low. But it's not just on Brock. I think Brandon Ayuk, this is it, buddy. And I've already stopped defending him, but this is it, buddy. You come on now. This is a clear opportunity. It might be a bigger opportunity for Brandon Ayuk than Brock. You can make that argument. Yeah. But I would say, I don't, to be honest with you, the game you have to just watch the game and see how it happens. Because I don't know if you were listening yesterday, but Whitey and Jay kept going back and forth, because if you look at Brock's stat line from the Vikings, he didn't have a bad game, but essentially Jay's argument was, Whitey, what more do you want him to do? And Whitey's argument, it was essentially, and not to speak for Whitey, what was basically, there are just things that you have to do to elevate. So they were kind of having a back and forth on that, and I was just kind of figuring out what side I was on, and that your take is more of the Jay side of things. Yeah. If Brock leaves and doesn't give the ball up, which he did against the Vikings, but if Brock doesn't cough up the bacon, he throws for whatever it is, and they lose the game, is that on Brock? It's funny, Chris, because I don't want to cop out, and I normally don't do this. You have to see it, right? It's almost an eye testing. Does it feel like Brock is following the plan, right, and just taking whatever Kyle has schemed for him, or is he Detroit Lions taking things into his own hands? It's hard for me to explain, but I do think that he should be able to do it if it even calls for it. It might not even call for it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the part that, like, is it just running more? Is it, again, squeezing in? Is it throwing the ball, being more willing to throw the ball deep and get those explosive plays? I just don't know what it is that he hasn't done. Mm-hmm. Is it, because that's the thing, is if we're saying he needs to do more than what he already does, then that's, to me, saying, because he already is one of the most productive quarterbacks in the NFL. Forget skill or where you have him ranked. He's incredibly productive. How is he supposed to elevate that production? You mentioned the Lions game. Like, is it getting more running plays? Hey, if maybe, now you don't have the luxury of, Debo's covered, Ayuk's covered, Juwan Jennings is wide open. Is it saying, okay, Ayuk is covered, Juwan Jennings is covered, now I need to run it and make a play? Like, I'm just a little confused as to what, not just you, but what exactly, even Whitey, what exactly is it that Brock has to do? And I understand it could be a vibe thing. You feel it in the moment, but I just feel like it's a little bit of just a thing that is talked about, but I don't really know how he's supposed to go out there and do it. Like you said, if he has 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and doesn't turn the ball over, I don't see how that can be viewed as Brock's fault.
And we would have that conversation if and when it happens. The bottom line is nobody asks questions if you win. So number one, and you might not have to go above and beyond to get this W or go outside of the plan. So that's why I do think if it were a pie chart, Brock would have a slice of the pie, Kyle Shanahan would have a slice of pie, and Brandon Ayuk would have a slice of the pie. For me, when you're talking about what it is Brock Purdy can do or hasn't already done, and I know I talked about, hey, it's really just a matter of you just got to make sure you walk out with the W. You walk out with the W, then nobody has questions for you. What did we talk about after the Jets game? I mean, you would look around, and it's crazy because of the whole separation rate thing and how it was so low, but you look around and Juwan Jennings is just staring him in just wide open, Chris. So I'm saying there are going to be situations where these guys aren't wide open, even if Kyle Shanahan tries to cook up the best thing. Does that just mean you're cooked? Right. And that's why we'll have the conversation, and it might be easier to have the conversation once we see how the game goes. Because it might not, I don't think the Rams are beat the heck up right now. It might not even come to it. But the idea that you're going to sit here, my issue is the idea that you're going to sit here, and I don't know where Mike Silver has Brock Purdy ranked, but you're going to sit here and I would assume call him an elite guy. But if Tyreek, a bunch of guys go out and we didn't say, and I'm not comparing Brock to Patrick Mahomes, but nobody said, well, this is on Andy Reid. You know what I mean? If with certain guys go out, right, with T. Higgins being out, we did say, okay, Joe Burrow, what are you going to do? These guys that we have in the elite conversation, we do put more onus on them. So I'm saying if you want to put Brock in that conversation, you can't have Brock be elite. If that's the situation, Mike Silver, and that doesn't even, because half the guys making $50 million aren't even elite. So the money thing is whatever to me. But if you're going to have that take Mike Silver, then I don't know if Mike Silver thinks that Brock is elite, but I don't think you can talk like that about an elite quarterback, because we don't talk like that about the Josh Allens, about the Mahomes, about the Burrows, about the Lamars. We don't. We don't.
I know it's unfair, though, and we try and stay away from fair, but I just think that it's a valid excuse, though. I mean, I feel like if Patrick Mahomes doesn't have his complement of receivers, we want him, we expect him maybe, or say that there's a if anybody's going to be able to lift up this team, it's Patrick Mahomes. But then if he doesn't, I think everybody's okay with it. And maybe Patrick Mahomes is to a different level and he's earned a different level of respect. But I do just think it's a little bit unfair that it has to be Brock plays well or else it's confirmation bias of, see, we knew the whole time you actually aren't that great. And it's like, well, maybe he just didn't have his normal complement of receivers and weapons. And yeah, he had an off game. I don't know why that has to be some bigger statement and we have to throw out 30 weeks of play just because he has one bad game in a situation that's really understandable.
I think this is an ongoing conversation.
For sure.
We've talked about it before. The Patriots are up after the Rams. But I do also think that who he's facing and the situation he's facing also makes this conversation even better, because you're going up against a Matthew Stafford who is always banged up in some capacity, and he's missing his guys. So it's a very, not that this is, again, not to use the word fair, but it's a very
still team versus team.
It is, but you're both missing guys. Yeah. Stafford is in a conversation. Brock Purdy's in a conversation. Let's see who's able, and a lot of people like McVay. He can remember the cereal he had when he was 5 years old. Yeah. So you got, I'm excited about as much as this matchup is missing star power. It's going to be, I think, captivating in a different way.
For sure.
Let's hear from the man himself, Brock Purdy, on playing without his star teammates. We get to that on the other side. Stiles Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The NFL's leading rusher plays here.
The handoff to McCaffrey, walks in the end zone. Handoff to McCaffrey, takes it right down to the goal line. He does his thing again. McCaffrey goes in motion right. Backwards pass led by Juszczyk. A block there. Hurdles a man. 10-5. Touchdown! CMC!
You can hear all of Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns on your home for 49ers football. Sacktown Sports.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
but it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle.
Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle. This back-to-school season, Tide and Downy are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. US/DC 17+. End September 30th. Rules. Tide.com/scholarship/official rules.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs. You sound very calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports, in the middle of our second hour. If you missed anything, wanted to hear Shohei talk. We had a really insightful baseball conversation that was in the 10 o'clock hour. You can rewind on the good old YouTube, or you can check it out, Sacktown Sports app as well. 1 o'clock, we give away tickets to UC Davis, the Family 4-pack, as they take on the Utah Tech Trailblazers.
I feel like we don't mention this enough. We have a podcast, like any podcast host, you could listen to us too. I usually put them up in the end of the third hour. So if you want to start, we're up on, I believe we're on Spotify, iTunes, all those.
Yeah, that's a good call, Nate. And also if you are in one of your cars that's not a Tesla, or if it's just tough for you to get to AM sometimes, we're also on the TuneIn app. Okay. And the TuneIn app, you can access that, and it plays pretty darn clear, and you can get it anywhere, right? If you're traveling, if you're in the Bay and you still want to listen to your guys, not just us, but the Drive guys, you can listen to the morning show as well. That's all on the TuneIn app. And yeah, we've been meaning to kind of promote that more, because it's a super easy solution to sometimes things being a little bit choppy. When I would drive for the Ballers, I would, our station is pretty darn strong, right? But when it would start getting a little bit choppy, throw it on the TuneIn app through the old, was this still auxiliary? It's not auxiliary it's not auxiliary anymore.
The aux port, what, the Bluetooth?
Well, it's a charger. It's still aux.
Whatever, bro.
So yeah, there are a lot of different ways to get your fix in, especially with the Kings season coming up. And let me just say, this is a Friday exclusive. We've talked to big wigs, we've talked to the higher ups, and there is a lot coming down the pipe with the Kings this season. So you're definitely going to want to be able to access us as easily as
and we'll be
possible.
out there on
I will say, yeah,
we will.
The best way to experience, I'll say this show, I don't know if I can speak for the other ones, is YouTube. The cameras are fun. We try to put graphics up. Our interviews, we try to get on video. So it's just, you can talk to everyone. I think YouTube's the best way. And then, yeah, like you said, Chris, media day, we're going to be out there, cameras live view with 4K. Talking to Malik Monk, talking to De'Aaron Fox, all these guys live 4K with my camera does 4K. It's gonna be like Vegas again.
It is.
I don't know if you caught this, Chris. This is a couple days ago, and it's a Friday. We're having some fun, and then we'll get into this Brock Purdy sound, and also Patrick Beverley is obsessed with the Kings right now. Not sure why. We have that sound for you. But
I'll take it.
A couple days ago, we're getting ready to leave, right? And we've talked before about our crosstalk and conversations where Dave is leaving and he just has, he just says a little something and then he just leaves, right?
Parting gift.
Yes. So, and I don't know if you caught this, but a couple days ago, obviously we have the money slot as far as the media day timing. And Dave says, yeah, you guys are going to be out there for media day. And obviously we're going to be talking to, the De'Aaron Foxes of the world, everybody. Yeah. And Dave goes, yeah, don't screw it up. Don't get nervous. And I don't know if you caught that.
I did not. I definitely did not catch that.
You've done a media day before.
Yeah.
I have not.
Yeah.
So
You
I don't
did
know.
Super Bowl though,
Dude, the Super Bowl's way crazy.
I think Super Bowl's
you're
crazier.
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine, but I'm just Dave.
No, don't. I mean,
No.
like top 5 worst things to tell anybody.
He doesn't want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
I think that's
Who are your
the plan is-
sources?
Yeah, who are your sources? He doesn't want to see you do well.
Like
He
you're
wants
about
to
to
get
go
in your
on the
head.
high dive, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Don't look
And
down."
And he's just walking away. Oh yeah, don't screw it up.
Yeah.
Don't get nervous.
I know, yeah. It's just classic, like
A lot of people gonna be paying attention to those out.
classic, like dad thing to say
Yeah.
too, just to, like to mess with you.
Then the door just closes,
Mhm.
and then we come in the next day, just as like it never
Yep,
happened.
never
Celebrity
happened.
birthdays.
Yep. Why not? Just let it roll.
I
Let it
mean,
roll through.
The
guy's crazy.
Carmichael Dave.
I will say I'm looking at our podcast, which is on Spotify. 5 stars. 5 stars.
Wow.
And you can only rate it. I tried to. You can only rate it if you've listened. It tells me exactly. I'm trying to rate the show, and it says our only listeners to this show can rate it. Check out a few episodes, then come back and give your feedback. So there you go. You know,
wow.
Actually, know people have listened, and we appreciate all the reviews. Please give us more.
Yes.
And listen, I don't write the most detailed descriptions per hour, but it's enough to get you going. It's enough to be like, this is what the show is, and this is what you're going to experience.
A free sample.
Oh man,
yeah.
I am a lyricist when it comes to.
Where's DJ Bedhead? Haven't seen him in a while.
I mean, he's on.
You got
He's
chefs
on
in New
summer
Orleans who
tour
love
right
him.
now.
They're
That's
looking
what it
for him.
is. You know, he's in his
Chefs
Vegas
are looking
residency.
He's at Dreamforce.
Yeah.
He's at Dreamforce. So
with that white wig thing on.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So my wifey, she is basically a Salesforce whiz, right? Has all these certificates in Salesforce. So she went to Dreamforce, and for those, Nate and Chris have been giving me a hard time because if you watch Dreamforce, it just doesn't look like anything productive is being accomplished.
No.
Pink was there.
Yeah.
Pink performed.
Yeah.
She said that Pink was incredible.
I'm sure she was.
Yeah,
she, like,
Zed
does
was there.
acrobatics and
There was
stuff.
a DJ set. Kygo was. I mean, there was
Marshmallow there too.
they were giving away marshmallow, giving away marshmallow helmets. Yeah, you know.
What is going on?
And then you go and you see. I don't know who it was. She doesn't waste her time because the lines get too long. I know one year it was Michelle Obama. They have a bunch of different. I know maybe Pharrell one year.
Like photo ops. Oh
No,
they saw Will.i.am was out there.
Will.i.am was there. No,
He's
they
like a
speak.
tech mogul.
Yeah,
though.
they speak, and you can go check it out. But basically, she said, "Hey, you're going to stand in line, and you're literally." There are people that there's under 30 Dreamforce, and there's over 30 Dreamforce. And once you're in over 30 Dreamforce, you actually do productive stuff. So shout out to everybody that enjoy themselves out there in San Francisco.
Sure.
She did say it was really cold, though. She said it was really cold. It's about that time. Coming up next,
Come back to Sac.
let's hear from, she said, man, I'm burning up already. Let's hear from Brock Purdy as he answers the question on playing this weekend without his star teammates. Stiles Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean. And there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
High Voltage live boxing action returns to Northern California Saturday, September 21st at the venue at Thunder Valley with Thunder Showdown, featuring the undefeated 12th ranked welterweight in the world, Amari Jones, plus Alan Sanchez versus Sal Briseno, and 8 more exciting undercard fights with Maribel Guerrero, Blake McKernan, Gabriel Garcia, Anthony Hernandez, Ruben Torres, Alexander Espinosa, and more. Don't miss the Thunder Showdown, September 21st at Thunder Valley. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. Play card subject to change.
Hey everybody, it's your boy Drapes, Kyle Draper for Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Are you looking for a new van for your business? Maybe you want to go out on a camping trip or even haul your kids and their teammates to their sporting events. Well, Mercedes-Benz of Stockton has the Sprinter van just for you. It's fully customizable, and plus it has that Mercedes star right on the front, so you know it has the premium quality that Mercedes sedans and SUVs are known for. Give the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van a test drive at Mercedes-Benz of Stockton or go online at mbofstockton.com.
Are you tired of your tee shots ending up in the adjoining fairway while the rest of your foursome is hitting it down the middle? Well, experts will tell you that being properly fitted for golf clubs will help you strike your drive center cut. The Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio and its team of trained PGA professionals are ready to help you get rid of your banana balls and duck hooks. Hagen Oaks Indoor-Outdoor Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Sacramento, Dierks Bentley's coming to town.
Getting drunk on a plane.
For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park for Country in the Park 2.
What was I thinking?
And he's bringing some friends. Carmelie.
I want to close your eyes for this.
Tyler Rich. Dasha.
Did your boobs stop working?
And more. Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House.
I would end the day with sore feet, sore legs. The drugstore inserts that I was purchasing were really not very useful at all. I walked into the Good Feet store and the guy kind of grinned at me and said, I hear that a lot. I was living with chronic pain before going to the Good Feet store. Now I don't really have that problem. I'm able to do the things that I expect to be able to do, even at my advanced age. I feel pretty good about what's going on.
Come to the Good Feet store now for a free fitting and test walk.
A new pool can transform your backyard into a beautiful oasis. Now, that's what happened with us when we made the best decision and called Premier Pools and Spas. The process began with an in-person consultation with the designer, and the end result, well, it's been several years of family fun in our forever pool. Now, you can find out for yourself by coming out to the Endless Summer Bash from Premier Pools and Spas. That's this Saturday from 10 to 4 at their newly renovated showroom in Rancho Cordova. They'll have food, ice cream, bounce houses, and more, but you can come get design ideas for your pool. But also, they build outdoor living spaces, fire pits, pavers, and so much more. That's this Saturday from 10 to 4 at Premier Pools and Spas' newly renovated showroom in Rancho Cordova. Find out for yourself why they've been the region's leading pool builder and serving Sacramento since 1988. That's Premier Pools and Spas, contract license number 589234.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
The big question: what does it take to be elite? What is expected out of you if you are elite or want to be considered elite? T. Higgins gets out. Hey, Joe, you still got Jamar Chase. Get it done. Tyreek Hill leaves. Hey, Mahomes, you're still that dude. Get it done. Some of these guys who have lost, Tua, he plays without Waddle, it seems like every other week. You know? Jared Goff, Dak Prescott really only has, you talk about an it guy, Chris, going in the wrong direction. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb's the it guy, but there's absolutely nobody else, as Rob Gronkowski said, that the Niners need a quote-unquote it guy. But let's hear from Brock Purdy as he talks about the opportunity of playing without some of his star teammates.
Your supporting cast over the last couple of years, ad nauseum almost, but now a lot of them aren't going to be there. How do you feel going into a game with some pretty key guys not playing?
Yeah, obviously, it sucks not having your guys and
like Debo and Christian and stuff. So it's like, all right, you know, how can we figure out to get the ball to other guys and stuff? But man, we got playmakers. Like I've said that before, we got a really good scheme, great play caller, and some great players that, you know, step up in the roles and do their job really well. So for me, man, I still have to do my job in terms of my reads and my progressions, more so than I need to now change the way I think and make sure I'm getting it to this guy or that guy because a couple guys are out. It's not like that. So that's the challenge for me, is how can I continue to be better with my progressions and as a quarterback and handling situations and, you know, being as efficient as I can, regardless of who's in. So that's where my mindset is at with this game. And, you know, obviously I'd love to have my guys back and playing with them, but, you know, that's just how it is with this game.
I will say this, as I essentially said that I disagreed with Mike Silver's take that the quarterback Brock Purdy doesn't have to do more. I will say this, don't get it twisted with me not thinking that Brock has that dog in him. Okay, we've seen Brock show out before. We saw him in the NFC Championship. We see that emotion that we talked about. We haven't really seen with the Trevor Lawrences and the Bryce Youngs of the world. I do not let the babyface fool you. And I know, babyface assassin, you're not Steph, but do not let that fool you. I think that there is a part of Brock that, and this might scare you in the gunslinger route, but I think there's a big part of Brock that does see this as an opportunity to say, sure, I'm going to shut down the Nick Wrights of the world. Whoever. Now they'll say no Puka, no Cooper Kupp, but we can deal with that because he's got a couple weeks at this. I think besides how I feel about how other people feel about Brock, what I think Brock feels like is, oh yeah, no, this is opportunity for me to cook. So I like hearing that from Brock. He always says the right things, and yeah, it's going to be a fun one, Chris. Or it's going to be ugly as heck.
Yeah. I think he's definitely ready, and yeah, I think you're right. Like, I mean, he's definitely heard the slander about him, not just this year, but throughout last year as well. Of, hey man, yeah, you're a system quarterback. Hey, you're a product of your environment. The only reason why you're able to do what you can do is because you have all the talent. Not even all the you have the most talent and then some around you. And if you were just like a middle class NFL football team and you only had one receiver that is good to throw to, you would probably look pretty average. If not, people think you would just be a terrible quarterback. And I think he definitely is going to view this as an opportunity, but I do think he's also smart enough to be measured in it and understand what got him here in the first place. And again, not play outside of himself. I do also think that there's a real chance here that we aren't factoring in enough, the collective we aren't factoring in enough, that Brock Purdy is essentially going from playing against Brian Flores' defense, which was fully ready to get after him and make his life hell, to this Rams defense that's incredibly depleted and already was a struggling unit. Like, I think that this could maybe feel like a taking of the ankle weights off. You know, they only scored 17 points last week. They're not typically that low volume. Usually 30 is just about average for their wins. I think there's a world in which Brock Purdy in that Niners offense doesn't look like it misses a beat. Jordan Mason is still running the ball incredibly well, 2 straight 100-yard games. Something tells me that this game might just be incredibly, I won't say easy, but pretty stress-free when it comes to the Niners offense, and they should still be able to move the ball just about as well as they have. They still have tons of weapons to go to, and I'm a big believer in Juwan Jennings as a real receiver, and I think that he could really, again, continue to open eyes on how good of a receiver he is and just how replacement level in a good way he is.
Yeah, and we will do our best to get an update for you on George Kittle when that happens. They practice and all that. Nothing new yet, but we can if we do have time, and if based on the timing, we can revisit the conversation, because that's another guy in George Kittle.
And that would make things a little bit, that's maybe where we have to start to talk about, okay, like, is that one too many people?
Right.
If it really is just his outside guys, because I honestly, is it Ross Dwelly? Who is the Niners backup tight end these days?
Saubert, who he had a couple catches against the Vikings. So and he's been decent. He's been decent.
Dwelly and Werner both went to Atlanta with Ray McCloud.
Did they
Super
really?
Weird. Yeah.
That's so random.
Dude, they're just boys.
Yeah.
They're just boys.
It's interesting seeing it. Yeah. I don't know.
Nate, Chris and I have kind of given our thoughts on what to expect of Brock and the elite conversation as far as what Mike Silver wrote. Where do you fall on this scale as far as should Brock be asked to do more? Should it be more on Kyle Shanahan? Where do you fall on this?
Interesting question. Well, obviously Brock doesn't play defense.
Sure.
And I think that is going, this is news to a lot of people. But Brock, I mean, he's going to have to step it up. I don't necessarily mean his play, but I mean, like, his stat line looks a lot better if Ayuk doesn't drop that pass week 1 right now, right? Brock, I think that it's all there for him, as in his talent, and he showed it. And I think he continues to show it even in the losses. Like, he had some errant throws against the Vikings for sure. It was good defense, good defensive scheme, as we all know. Are you essentially asking me if I think Brock is elite right now?
I'm asking you,
what are your expectations for Brock this week?
Yes.
I'm thinking just a stat line, 280 yards. He makes some plays on third down, which is where the Niners have been struggling to get a couple first downs, where on like, I don't know, like a 3rd and 8 or something, where you're like, oh, Brock made that happen. He was making plays happen all last week too against the Vikings. I think he just continues to play at that level, and the pressure's on the rest of the team. I think the pressure's off of him for the most part, for me at least. Like you guys said, Nick Wright is going to trash him no matter what. I think, people are going to pick the stats they want to pick, but Brock Purdy he's going to win the game this weekend for the Niners.
I think and again, we'll revisit without George Kittle. We played with this idea, Chris, before we threw it to Nate. Is there more pressure on Brock or Brandon Ayuk?
Oh, Ayuk.
I think Ayuk.
It has
100%.
And I don't know if enough people are talking about that.
Since the drop, the pressure on Ayuk has been through the roof.
Yeah.
Well, the pressure.
He put the pressure on himself.
The pot was boiling before that, and then that happened. But the lid blew off, and now it's all pressure. And then you watch him on the. I hate that I'm bringing this up. The podcast.
Oh, you know what? There was another clip going around because they did when we were talking about when did they record it. They talked about the Vikings game. So I found it and I said, "Oh, Nate's gonna."
Oh, so it was after.
So it was after.
So
Go on.
Okay. I think the pressure on Ayuk is just through maybe the most in the league besides like Joe Burrow.
It's
Lamar
an interesting
Jackson.
conversation. I mean, at least in the Bay Area. I mean.
This is what his whole offseason was about, was getting respect and being viewed as the number one guy. And it's going to happen this week.
That 30 million. I could, the number 2 for the Lions, right? We think of Amon-Ra, and that's pretty much it. The number 2 for the Jameson Williams, who he's a GOAT. We'll see what happens there, but it's Amon-Ra's world. We're just living in it. Cowboys, right? Obviously, you have CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's world, we're just living in it. These guys, they see defenses, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill. Everybody knows the scouting report is these are the number 1 guys, and they still put up numbers. Ayuk, no Debo, you are the clear number 1 dude. Can you produce like the other now I sound like Chris Dang Watkins.
That's what I'm saying.
Can you produce like the other guys when it's, we got to feed Debo? No. This is this is his Amon-Ra week.
Yeah, I see Devontae Adams go crazy every week, and he's got a much weaker quarterback and a weaker team.
DK
you
went
Patriots.
Crazy. Yes, this is your opportunity to show that you are one of those dudes. Because this is what it would look like if you went to the Patriots. Were you scared to go to the Patriots? Were you scared to go to the Steelers? Were you scared to go to the Browns?
Yes.
This is your opportunity to be number 1.
Yeah. The Browns.
You should have been scared to go to the Browns.
Good job staying out of there.
There you go.
I think a lot of it will come down to plays being set up for Ayuk too. Like Shanahan, back to Shanahan, like being like, all right, Ayuk, this is your shot. And Brock's going to get you the ball. I think we know Brock can get it done, and I don't think Brock deserves any of the negative.
Only if there's turnovers.
Oh,
turnovers
yeah.
If he is real gunslinger out there,
and that's what
that can maybe get some.
Dude, have you seen his quads?
Arrogant throws last week.
I have not seen his.
You saw his quad Purdy.
Yeah,
this guy's going to be ready to go.
Yeah, quad. Everyone knows you throw with your quads.
You got to throw. You got to need a solid base.
Yeah.
So more pressure on Brandon Ayuk, and that's not what people want to talk about because Brock Purdy, quarterback, that's the most important position. But I think, guys, if Brandon Ayuk has opportunity.
Oh, I'm a slander.
Lord,
on Monday.
If there's a bad drop, I can't defend you, brother. I can't. And now Chris Watkins, that's a feather in the cap. And I don't want that to happen, Ayuk, so figure it out.
What would you defend Brandon Ayuk for?
Well, no, I tried to defend him against Peyton Manning a couple weeks ago.
That is true.
Saying, wait and see.
And I'm out.
Yeah.
And I'm not completely out, but this is an opportunity for Brandon Ayuk. Coming up next, this is also an opportunity for the Raiders. We see you in the Sack Chat. They're taking over the Sack Chat.
2 hours.
That's
Steve,
right.
call back.
Steve, call back. We're going Raiders. Can they keep this thing going when we return? Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Live and local.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out SacktownSports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, the Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on SacktownSports.com.
Hey, what's up, Sacramento? It's Kyle Draper. Turn up the cleanliness at your restaurant, healthcare, or industrial business with Alsco Uniforms, the official sponsor of the Sacramento Kings Mop Crew. We've got you covered with crisp uniforms, hygienically clean linens, floor mats, and, of course, mops delivered weekly. But that's not all. Alsco Uniforms also offers weekly services for first aid and restroom supplies. Discover why it pays to keep clean with Alsco Uniforms. Just go to alsco.com to learn more. Again, that's ALSCO.com.
When shopping for a new car, what do you want? A great selection? A low monthly payment? More for your trade? At Northern California's #1 Honda dealer, Stockton Honda, you get it all.
Model year-end savings are going on now. It's savings you just can't say no to.
Come in today or go to StocktonHonda.com.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
#1 claims based on 2023 total new and Honda certified pre-owned vehicle car sales from American Honda Motor Company's L1 report.
Finally, an easy way to find home improvement contractors. Just visit subcontractorsunited.com and simplify your search for home services professionals. From cabinets to windows, roofing to plumbing, Subcontractors United is an easy, simple way to find and hire a home improvement contractor. And you never have to give up personal information. So no harassing phone calls like you get from those other websites. SubcontractorsUnited.com is sponsored by D&D Cabinets and Savage Design.
It's Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room. And guess what? Primetime football is back. Capital Casino's giving away $500 per game in high hand bonuses for every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night primetime game. As always, offering the best food, the best service, and the best action with the most variety of games in the region, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. So check them out, Capital Casino, and always remember to gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
DC here for Folsom Lake Kia, where they make car shopping easy with a huge selection of new Kia models, low payments, and zero down deals with approved credit. Folsom Lake Kia, your trusted dealer in Folsom for over 25 years. FolsomLakeKia.com.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
It is time. We see you in the chat. And by the way, 12 o'clock, we will discuss Patrick Beverley. He talks about who he thinks is the X-Factor for the Kings this season. And yeah, he is all about the Kings. I told Chris I think he has some ulterior motives. Chris does not agree. We might have some fun with that in that segment as well. But that's coming up at the top of the hour. So you want some Kings talk, a little break from the NFL? We got you at 12. But first, the Raiders. And an opportunity, Chris, I can tell you this much. I am worried about this because, look, I saw from BetMGM, from FanDuel, you're seeing anywhere from 5, then they go to Carolina, anywhere from 5-point favorites to 5.5-point favorites. You saw a 6-point favorite. I don't like that, Chris. I don't. This smells, and we have a segment called Who is on Fraud Watch this weekend coming up in the 12 o'clock hour. And I don't think this is a fraud watch conversation because we're still trying to figure out what the Raiders are. But I will say they are on letdown watch for me, and I'm pretty worried. I know their defense is ridiculous. Those random Andy Dalton stats. Andy Dalton seems to like playing against the Raiders. I don't know how much that matters. But again, this we talked about how playing without their stars, the Niners, with Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan, who is it more on? I think that this is a game that is solely on Antonio Pierce to make sure that them boys are ready. And you know, Max Crosby, I'm not really that, because I know Max Crosby's going to be ready.
Yeah.
We saw him walking around in Vegas iced out. Okay. I'm not worried about Max Crosby, but just as a unit, as a whole, this is a huge opportunity for Antonio Pierce, whether they cover or not, to make sure that that team is ready to rock and roll against a team that if you want to sniff the playoffs, this is a must win. I think I feel pretty comfortable saying that this is a must win if the Raiders even want to think about the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think anybody who looks at this game would understand why you would be afraid of it. Like, it is really built to be the definition of a trap game. You have it set up to where the Raiders get their best win of the season, what I assume will be their best win of the season, and in a game in which nobody really gave them a chance for them to come on the road and win that game. I mean, that's the ultimate high. And then you're playing maybe the worst team in you are playing the worst team in the NFL for a home opener. Everybody's expecting you to win. And then they switch quarterbacks on the other side as well. I mean, that's a lot of things that feel like it is setting up potentially for an upset or at least for, a closer game than what people expect it to be. I'm expecting a bit of a letdown. I mean, I think when you naturally are on such a high like that.
A loss letdown, or just they're not going to cover?
I can definitely see it being a loss. I don't know if I want to officially, we're not giving our picks yet.
Okay.
We're doing it at the end of the show, but I definitely think that there's a big potential here for a Raiders letdown. And like you said, it is on Antonio Pierce and the leaders of that team to make sure that they have their heads on straight. They've done great at avoiding penalties so far. That's been a curse that has just absolutely demolished every single Raider team that I could ever think of.
Yeah.
They've been very, very disciplined. And I think this would go a really long way for Antonio Pierce to say, this is why they brought me in right here, right now, because everybody would expect this to just be a loss. I mean, again, biggest win of the season to the worst team in the NFL, natural letdown opportunity. A really good coach makes sure that their team is in line, ready to go, and doesn't try and make too much of it, right? Don't go and try and be the superstar. Just take the play that's in front of you, and you should be able to beat the Panthers handily. I think the Raiders get in trouble if they try and flex on them and look like a team that they're not. If they go out there and try and look like the Saints and try and stun on the Panthers because they want to have a show-out game in their home opener, that's where I could see them potentially getting in trouble.
Did you see, and I don't know if this is fair or foul, but did you see the Panthers put out a promo, a basically a hype video for Andy Dalton? Did you see that?
Yeah, and it said like he's back or something.
I don't know.
Some version of like he's back under center.
I guess I don't really care about the Panthers and what they do. So regardless of whether you think it's fair or foul, there is something when it comes to a locker room where it's, okay, we're going to have a chance now. We're going with the guy who we know can actually throw the football. Going back to JT O'Sullivan, and by the way, it's starting to do some good numbers on YouTube, our segment with JT O'Sullivan yesterday. We closed the conversation asking him about, we asked him who's his second favorite quarterback or second best quarterback behind Mahomes, and he said CJ Stroud. But before that, we asked him about Bryce Young with the Raiders hosting the Panthers. And hey, how much of this from the film you've watched is the situation versus the team, or versus Bryce Young just not playing well? And he said it was both. So with that being said, to bring it back to the Raiders, there are opportunities if you have a quarterback that can get the ball where it needs to be. So the Raiders, they'll get in trouble if they just think, like you said, they're going to come in and just stomp the yard on these guys because they have been bad. They're going to walk in like you getting a fresh lineup, Chris. They got their fresh lineup, the Panthers, with a new QB, you know, the red-headed rifle, and they're going to feel like, hey, we'll deal with Bryce when we deal with Bryce. We got a guy that's going to put us in a good opportunity. He's got a good record against the Raiders, and we're going to look respectable. Yeah. I do feel like it's a low line for the Panthers, so that's why I think that the Raiders will win, but they might not cover, because I think the Panthers just don't want to get embarrassed, right? I know they want to win, but if you go to Vegas, maybe Vegas is better than everybody thought, and you lose on a field goal or something like that, Panthers could leave. They're at the point now where they would take a moral victory.
Yes, that's absolutely, yeah.
That's where they're at right now.
Hard-fought game.
Yeah, exactly. You got to start. They're starting from the mud. Let's hear from the stud muffin that he is, Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, the most receiving yards among tight ends this season. And yeah, that's right. He's a rookie. That's 156 yards so far. Also, Brock Bowers, a crazy stat. Brock Bowers has 12 receptions, and this was for 125 yards. This was during the game. The most receiving yards in Raiders history among tight ends in their first 2 career games. Rob Gronkowski said that Brock might be able to surpass him as a pass-catching tight end. High words coming from one of the best to ever do it. What did Brock Bowers, our Napa native, think about hearing that?
Rob Gronkowski, I'm sure you heard, he said he thinks you can surpass him as a pass-catching tight end. What'd you think about that, Rob Gronkowski praising you?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was pretty sweet. Just hearing him say that, just because, I looked up to him when I was little, like just watching him when I was growing up. And, you want to be like him. So, it's pretty cool hearing that.
Guys like Devontae say, you're just straight football. That's what you do. That's what you talk about. Is it kind of always been that way for you?
Yeah, I guess so. I just kind of, like I said, go about my business, and whenever I'm in the building, I just kind of just focus on football, and just getting after it.
Where does that come from? Where you're a little kid, is that kind of how you just approach things?
Yeah, I think that's kind of just from just growing up and stuff, like how I was raised, stuff, just being just focused on where you're at in the moment and everything, and just kind of trying to take advantage of the opportunity you're given.
I love it. Napa's finest right there, goes all the way to Georgia. And really, he's lining up with cornerbacks, got to line up with him, Chris. He is, dang near a hybrid when it comes to a tight end. And, a lot of people were saying, well, they got, and you talked about it as well, not to say that it wouldn't work out, but they got Michael Mayer, who they really like. What's going to happen there? Brock is just another beast, and they decided to go with the best talent on the board, and it has worked out for them so far. Already seeing memes, Chris, from that Bo Nix story with Sean Payton, and now Raider fans are flipping it back on Sean Payton. If you didn't hear that story, Sean Payton saying, what was it, Chris? He called the Raiders and made it sound like they weren't going to take a QB, so the Jets would trade or something like that. And he made a big deal out of it, and Bo Nix hasn't looked great so far, and Brock Bowers has. So now Raider fans are flipping it back on him, saying, good job, Sean. We'll just take Brock Bowers instead. From the 925 on the text line, the Raiders are going to smack Carolina. When a team's best unit is their defense, they usually won't have too many letdowns. I think I agree with that, 925. Also from the 916, I don't think AP will allow the Raiders to think they'll cakewalk through Carolina. I think that's a great shout as well. It's that, the swagger is the swagger, and you got your varsity jacket on, things like that, but you got to respect every team that you come across. And I think the Raiders, and I know we got to do our predictions later, but I can't wait to do it because I think something is brewing out there in Vegas with the silver and black. And as much as Carmichael Dave doesn't want to have these conversations, the more that the Raiders win, we're going to continue to have them because they might be cooking something out there in Vegas. And I'm not talking about a $20 ribeye, Chris. Coming up next, let's go to the hardwood. Patrick Beverley shares who he thinks the X-Factor will be for the Kings. Do you agree with the name that he says? And also, somebody said something about this same player, and I want to know if you've noticed it as well. #Muscle Milk. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find Kevin Huerter is Sacktown Sports.
Huerter's open, steps into three. He's got the triple.
Hey, Sacramento, it's Kevin Huerter, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Grab the keys to a new Toyota. Let's go! Enjoy fall to the fullest with amazing MPG and performance. Fill up less and explore more in a new Toyota. Choose between 16 hybrid and electrified Toyota models, more than any other brand, and rack up the miles with Toyota's class-leading fuel efficiency and reliability. Put more fun in every mile this fall.
Grab the keys, come on, let's go.
Toyota. Let's go places.
Deftones. North American Tour 2025, live in Sacramento. Golden One Center, Saturday, March 1st. With special guests, the Mars Volta and Fleshwater. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. For more, visit Deftones.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system? You were a bit surprised at how much it cost, or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento, the only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Sacktown Sports.
Sacktown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
The worst person you know just said something good. And Patrick Beverley, who, look, we've had some issues with Patrick Beverley and how he's handled situations, and we're not alone. I think a lot of people have, and that might be part of the reason he's not going to be in the NBA as much as he wants to spin it. But he continues to talk about the NBA, and he continues to talk about the Sacramento Kings. Not too long ago, about a month ago, he said something about the Kings getting – that was less than a month ago when he mentioned the Kings getting Julius Randle. And look, Chris and I, we don't listen to his podcast. We just see when he brings up King stuff. Maybe he's going around to every single team, right? What else could they be talking about? Maybe they did X-Factors for all the contenders, okay? Okay, they did. So he gets to the Kings, and here was the name that he said would be or could be the X-Factor for the Kings this season.
Kevin Huerter was my first choice as X-Factor if it was an X-Factor for Sacramento Kings. You know what you go get from the Fox. You know what you go get from Sabonis. You know what you go get from DeMar DeRozan, even if he ain't even put on a Sacramento jersey yet. Kevin Huerter, that's the X factor for them.
Why?
That's it. Because he's the one person who can put the ball on the floor that can create and that can shoot a three. You feel me? But they gotta let him hang a little bit. You gotta shoot some shots that in training camp, some of them 4-point shots and miss. And run back like, I don't give a f***, that's my shot. He's the X factor for that Sacramento team.
I also think he has that in there personality-wise. Like we were just talking about that with Rudy. I think that there are, shreds of that we've seen even when he was on Atlanta where it's like, oh, okay, he doesn't give a f***. Like he'll give someone work and like
right.
You want to foster that side of it and really.
Yeah, but he was hurt too. He was hurt this past year because we saw that in Atlanta. Like we saw a glimpse of that in Atlanta, but he was hurt this year too. So hopefully he comes back healthy. But yeah, he needs to let them things hang a little longer for real. He got to in order for them to be successful.
Number one, Nate, I need Kevin Huerter cut immediately, and that will be played. That will be played.
Kevin Huerter was Kevin Huerter.
That needs to be played at least 50 times this season, probably more. Look, man, he had the finger thing, Chris, and I can't remember if that was his shooting hand or his offhand, but either way, it's part of the extremities that you use. And that was right when he was starting to cook a little bit, right? And he had a good game, a good 2 games, and then he had the finger thing, and then he really couldn't find his footing. And, there was a little bit of heat on him with Keon Ellis playing well and some of these guys playing well. I think he easily could be the X factor because you open up that offense the way he can open up that offense. Now, there are going to be a lot of lineups where we don't have a choice but to let Kevin Huerter shoot. And in theory, that should be a very bad thing. That should be a very bad situation if you are a team because Kevin Huerter, that's what he does. He's a sniper. So I think that Patrick Beverley could be onto something. We've said things like this in some capacity. He's healthy. What I was going to say, Chris, is I saw somebody, not that we were having some fun with Brock Purdy, a.k.a. Quad Purdy. Somebody said it looks like Kevin Huerter is a bit bigger. We will confirm during media day whether or not it looks like somebody said he's a little thicker to play that wing position. Cannot confirm or deny the pictures. It's hard to tell. But Patrick Beverley saying that Kevin Huerter could be the X factor. What did you think about it?
It was a little bit strange. Kind of makes me feel like he doesn't watch the Kings a lot. He said Kevin Huerter's the one person who can put the ball on the floor and create and that can shoot a 3. Not the Kevin Huerter I know, but I mean, also there's other people on the team who can do that. So I don't really fully agree. And I also, I don't disagree that Kevin can be an X factor. It's just not really where my mind would go. I don't think that Kevin Huerter's shooting better necessarily is what I would pick as the thing that I think can change, like, the plus or minus 3 games in the win column. I don't think Kevin Huerter's shooting really is what I would pick. I would probably go Keon Ellis as the X factor above Kevin Huerter. I'd probably go Keegan as the X factor above Kevin. I'm not saying Kevin doesn't have impact, but I just think that there is other people who can realistically fill in the limited role that more so just the shooting that Kevin can bring. If that's not there, I think the Kings can still survive. I don't know if they can survive if Keon Ellis isn't the guy that they need him to be. If he's not a 40% 3-point shooter, I think that's a bigger problem. If Keegan Murray doesn't continue to get better, and if he's not good on the defensive end, to me, that's a little bit more of an X factor just because I think they have bigger impact than Kevin. I think if Kevin makes the shots, obviously it's really beneficial for Sacramento, but I don't know if I would say that that's the thing that is the swing of whether or not they will be good or bad or not for this season.
But I think I would say
he could be an X factor, but I wouldn't go with him as the X factor.
But I feel like, okay, they were a 9 seed with a pretty terrible season from Kevin Huerter, also filled with injury. If you slot in, and I guess the question would be the level of X factor, because if you slot in that 2023 season from Kevin Huerter and you put that into, let's say he just did the same thing back-to-back years, I feel like they probably wouldn't have been in the play-in.
I mean, they would have been better last year, but moving forward, they have DeMar now. Like, I don't think they don't rely on Kevin to score as much. Like, it's not as important for him to be a scorer. And obviously they still need his shooting ability. They still need him to stretch the floor. But I just think it's not as 100. Like, the Kings needed Kevin Huerter to be good last year in order for them to reach the level that they had reached the year before. I think obviously if Kevin Huerter is good, it makes the team so much better, but I would think that they can still survive and be a 7-8 seed, even if you do get a disappointing season out of Kevin. And again, I would just say that there's a couple people that I would think are a little bit more important to the day-to-day success. Not saying Kevin isn't, but I just think, again, if Keon's having a bad season, I think that's more impactful than Kevin Huerter having a bad season. If Keegan isn't meeting expectations, I think that's more important than Kevin Huerter potentially not meeting expectations. I just think that those guys do more, they bring more, and this year they're going to play more. Like, I don't know what exactly Kevin Huerter's role is going to be this year moving forward. He's probably just going to be a guy, if he's not starting, coming off the bench, playing 15 or so minutes. He's going to make an impact, but I just think that other guys have a much bigger stamp on how the game gets resolved.
Yeah. In a way, you could say that it's just too early to tell because we just haven't seen this team play before, right? We don't know how things are going to fit. It's funny that you say, the impact of Keegan, and we know Keegan, they're different situations, but it is funny when you're talking about two guys that make a lot less money than Kevin Huerter, but that's how it goes sometimes, talking about Keegan Murray and one Keon Ellis and their impact and what their impact is going to be on this team. Obviously, Keegan Murray's about to get the bag, and we'll see what happens with Keon and whenever that time comes. But as far as Kevin is concerned, I'm not
Kevin Huerter
I'm not willing to completely disagree with Patrick Beverley as much as I want to. I just feel like we got to see how this thing. I think it's possible. We just have to see how this thing looks because it sounds like you just don't even know how much burn Kevin Huerter is going to get. Period.
I mean, I think I have a good idea. I'd imagine he's going to play anywhere from 12 to 20 minutes. If he plays well, maybe he can scoot up to 25, but Malik's ahead of him on bench importance. And I do think that they're going to opt to, if Keon earns the starting spot, they're going to give Keon a ton of those opening minutes. And I would imagine it's either going to be Keon or Malik. That's the one finishing. So Kevin Huerter's minutes are only really coming with 6 minutes or less in the first quarter to probably around the same time in the fourth quarter. So yeah. I feel like his role by just virtue is going to be pretty limited, at least more limited than what we've seen in these past couple of years.
Right. Last season, they needed the scoring last season, and that's why they were able to make the playoffs 2 seasons ago when he did ball out. Yeah. Now it's not necessarily that you do or don't want Kevin Huerter to ball out. It's that you don't know how much you need it.
He's going to get asked to do less too. I mean, he's really just going to be asked to be a shooter. I mean, how many times last year were we saying, hey, Kevin needs to play defense. Hey, if he's not scoring, is he passing or is he driving the lane? Is he hitting floaters? Is he getting to the line? That's not really going to matter in his new role. His new role is really, from what I could guess, is just going to be, shoot that thing and create as much space as possible. We really don't need you to put the ball on the deck. We don't, of course you can still cut and things like that, but it's not essential for you to have as well-rounded of a game just because we have other people who are now filling those roles. And we really just need Kevin to be great at what he's great at. So hopefully simplifying the game for him goes a long way.
From the 916, for me, the X factor this year is Keegan. Fox, Sabonis, and Deronis are the main 3. That is from JB. I think a lot of people would agree with that Keegan, that third-year jump. When I think about the Keon Ellis part of this, Chris, I do wonder, let's say that Keon Ellis gets the 2-guard spot, right? If Keon Ellis gets the 2-guard spot, I do wonder how long his leash will be, because the thing is, that defense doesn't slump. So even if Keon isn't making the 3, which we know, we've talked about the Matisse Thybulles of the world and guys like that, you really need them to at least be something on offense. If Keon Ellis, and I'm just looking at opportunities for Kevin Huerter, if Keon Ellis is just ice baby, right? He just cannot make a 3. What's difficult to assume is if Keon Ellis isn't making his shots, you could bring Kevin Huerter in. Defense, that's a step back, right? You're going to take a step back defensively. And again, going to the DH comparison, you need Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter has to be hitting shots. So that's why I think there is a problem with if Keon is cold, then you go back to Kevin, because Kevin has to. Keon Ellis has more leeway because of his defense. Kevin on this team specifically, not last season when it's Chris Duarte you're trying to put out there. No disrespect. Hope he figures it on out in his future endeavors. But with Kevin, you go on to put him in. He has to be hitting because of and he's not a terrible defender, but you're adding in a DeMar DeRozan. There's just a bunch of guys who you got De'Aaron, but at that wing position, it's Keegan, and it could be tough, right? Or wing or that 2 position. So I'm trying to see a path. I'm kind of trying to disagree with you, but I think the issue is Keon Ellis and how much I think Mike Brown appreciates having somebody like Keon Ellis as a tool on the floor. Keon would have to be so cold that even defensively it's not enough, and I don't know if and when it'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, he's been a great shooter his entire career so far. If it goes bad, I mean, I would assume they're going to give him an opportunity to kind of right the ship. I mean, we saw last year they gave Kevin Huerter a huge rope to kind of figure out the 3-point struggles, and it really only took the final blow of his shoulder being separated to finally kind of take him out. And so I would imagine that if Keon is struggling to shoot, they'll give him probably a month at least to try and figure it out. We've seen with other guys like KZ Okpala and Mo Harkless, they had about a 5-game leash. I think Keon has probably earned a little bit longer than that. He still is young. I think they've seen the proof of concept with the play-in game. I would imagine they're going to get him a really big leash. And, once I think that if Keon doesn't get that, if his starting spot gets taken over, I think it's an open competition, and maybe that's when everybody who's screaming for Malik Monk to start, maybe that's when they can maybe get their wishes granted. But I am fully expecting Keon to be fine, and I think Keon's game is diverse enough to, even if he isn't hitting 3-point shots, hopefully he can at least still have some impact on the offensive end.
Yeah, and look, and we've seen Keon, do more ball handling during summer league, and he's working on the playmaking as well. And here's the thing. X-Factor, or just somebody that is able to contribute. Kevin Huerter, what is he, 26 years old or maybe just turned 27? He's still a young guy. There's nothing that says that he can't be that dude that elevates that second unit along with Malik Monk. When you look around at teams, just whether it's FIBA or whatever the case is, they all have pretty legit, all the contenders have pretty legit starting 5s. It's when it's time for the starting 5 to get a rest and you bring in that second unit. Who do you have on that second unit? And if Kevin Huerter can be, you got Malik Monk cooking and doing his thing, and then he's kicking out to Kevin Huerter, this could be a different version of being an X-Factor where there's not a better rotation of 8 to 10 players in the West, or their top 3 in the West, the Kings are, when it comes to their rotation, because of how well Kevin Huerter is playing off the bench. So that is something that the Kings haven't had as well, and they could have moving forward. Coming up next, we take a trip around the NBA. Mikal Bridges gets booed by Knicks fans as he gets set up by his Villanova teammate. It's just so sweet, isn't it? Also, Shaq is kind of being a hater now. We'll tell you why. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
What's the missing piece for the 49ers?
Which names will they add during free agency? Whether it's in season or off season, the coverage never stops. Get the latest 49ers news on Sacktown Sports and sacktownsports.com.
I had been starting to be sick all the time at work, so I went to the doctor. He asked if people in the office smoked. He identified it as being exposed to secondhand smoke. I decided to sue. It was worth it in the end, California being the first state to be smoke-free in workplaces and restaurants in the country.
Andrea was part of a historic movement to ban smoking in the workplace. Learn how she and other Californians are fighting big tobacco at undo.org.
Have you heard you can listen to your favorite news podcasts ad-free? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. Enjoy shows like The Daily, Up First, and Consider This, available ad-free on Amazon Music. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free. That's amazon.com/ad-free to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sacktown Sports.
It's time to stay on the hardwood. Take a trip around the NBA. Coming up at 12:30, we will discuss who is on fraud watch this weekend for the NFL slate. Also, 12:45, our college football slate. We will talk a little bit of college football with Arch Manning and his first start for the Texas Longhorns. As we had the conversation about the X-Factor with the Kings, Esteban on the text line is saying, who is the defense going to leave open? Probably Ellis. I think that's correct, and I think that's that fourth guy. I mean, obviously, depending on what the setup is, right? Because Sabonis is not going to really get guarded from the three-point range. But yes, as far as, hey, pick your poison, what's the poison that most defense is going to pick? Keon Ellis. That's why initially I think that is Pat Bev's argument that if you're picking Kevin Huerter as that poison, Kevin Huerter shooting open threes shouldn't be what other teams want to see. But who knows if he will get that opportunity. And we'll do our best to get these questions off for you when we are there for Media Day. But let's take a trip, Chris, around the NBA. Let's start in New York. And I don't know if you saw this, Chris, but this is my nightmare. You know how I feel about the Villanova boys, and I can't stand Villanova at all. Their roommates pod it seems like it's always in front of a live studio or a live audience now. I mean, they're doing some big things, and they had Mikal Bridges on, and they kind of set Mikal Bridges up with this, but I do appreciate what he said. It's something we don't really think about when teams go to, or players go to tough situations. Here it is.
I know we joke a lot and about like you obviously coming here now, but your time in Brooklyn, talk about that.
I mean, obviously y'all don't want to hear it, but it was actually great. Last year, y'all didn't want to hear it, but here y'all go. But last year was tough. I've grown as a person. I've grown as a player. So
I know I definitely set you up for failure right there.
Thanks, bro.
For sure. But a lot of people saw you take another step.
Yeah.
And so you going there, definitely establishing yourself more as like a focal guy. And so whether they like it or not, I think you going to Brooklyn made you a better player.
That's something we don't really talk about a lot. And of course, they just have so much fun, Chris. They have so much fun. One of these days before we get into the throes of the fall and Major League Baseball in the playoffs, NBA starting, football starting, we got to do a most annoying list. We got to be careful, but obviously there's going to be no Sacramento people in it. But I mean, these guys, man, I just can't. And you got Josh Hart just smiling in the background. I can't stand it. But I do like.
Do you understand how insane you sound?
Why?
You said he's just smiling. I just can't stand it. They're just having so much fun. Who do they think they are?
I just can't stand it.
I hate it.
I can't stand it, man.
I think you don't like basketball. You don't like the Mind the Game pod. You don't like the Brunson and all them.
I would rather watch Mind Game.
That is a statement. That is a
garbage.
Statement. That's a
New
statement
York
right
garbage.
I thought you liked Mind Game. I thought Chris hates it.
I do.
Oh,
Chris likes Mind Game.
Oh, I don't listen to the show.
Dead now.
It's dead now, and I'm sad. I'd rather.
Sure.
If you made me, we were driving to LA.
You like Gilbert Arenas pod.
No, come on. No, that is the most.
Gilbert pod.
You
and Brandon
that's
Jennings.
Probably the most disrespectful thing you could say to a basketball
You don't like the
player.
Jalen and Josh Hart pod.
No, because it we're just in New York.
We're just such good friends in the biggest city in the world, having a great time.
We're just living our dreams. This is just so great. I can't stand them,
front
man.
of an audience
from Philadelphia
and the live
to New York,
and the live audience, really, and they're just so into it.
Oh my God, you guys have
enjoying it.
fans that you're trying to like give to.
I can't. I
could
can't.
you imagine?
Well, look,
record in a studio like everybody else.
At Mikal Bridges, I liked what he had to say, Chris. We don't think about
Did
it
you?
a lot. I don't mind Mikal. Not yet.
Not yet.
But he makes
Couple
another
more
appearance on
appearances.
that. I do
That's
like what he
all right.
had to say, Chris. I mean, we don't really talk about guys going to bad situations and how, sometimes you got to get it out the mud. And he was with the Suns and he wasn't a big piece. He was really they had Cam Johnson too, but hey, this guy could be a guy. He's kind of being held back. Goes to Brooklyn. It's not as if he's they didn't super ball out. None of them did, but he did get an opportunity to see how it felt to be that number one. And now he goes to the Knicks with that experience. And you got to say, I mean, probably a lot more appreciative of his situation going from Brooklyn to New York.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge opportunity for him. We'll see if he can seize it. But yeah, a little bit of a little Brandon Ayuk-ish with Mikal Bridges. Like you've got to show that you're worth all this because they gave up an absolute ton in order to make this all work. So it can be all fun and games now. They can laugh and have fun on the pod, but push comes to shove, they better be there to perform because there's going to be a lot. I mean, it's New York, right? It's big city.
I'm ready.
It's box office, so they're going to have to. They're going to have to put the money where the mouth is. And if the Knicks underperform, I think we're all going to hear it.
And you're definitely going to hear it from me. The Sixers are staying in Philly, so that is good news. They thought about going to Jersey. The mayor, Sherelle L. Parker, an agreement has been reached that will ensure that our Sixers are staying home. My administration has reached an agreement with the Philadelphia 76ers for an arena in Center City. I mean, that's going to be sick, and I'm happy for everybody, all my Philly friends out there. And yeah, Draper's probably happy as well. We'll do it on the other side because we're talking about haters. And I'm starting to think that Shaq is he's getting close.
Stop it.
He's getting close to the haterade when it comes to one Rudy Gobert. We will hear from Shaq on the other side. We'll also discuss who's on Fraud Watch this weekend in the NFL. Stiles Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
When I want to stretch out after a long day, my sofa needs to be comfortable, but it also needs to look attractive and inviting when guests come to visit. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. We spend so much time on our living room sofas that we forget they're a focal point and a hint to our decorating tastes. Right now, during Naturewood Home Furnishings sofa sale, you can save on every sofa, including gallery-exclusive custom-ordered flex steel furniture. Whether you're interested in a new sofa, sectional, or recliner, you can choose from hundreds of colors and fabrics. Nobody has more styles and choices than Naturewood Home Furnishings. And when it comes right down to it, it's all about choices and always about quality. Shop Naturewood for the look you love at a price you'll love even more. Visit Naturewood Home Furnishings right now for this remarkable sofa sale. Off Highway 50 at Hazel, look for the water wheel.
The feet have a really big impact on how the rest of the body moves. The knees, the hips, the lower back especially. If the foot isn't properly aligned, all of these joints are going to function incorrectly. That results in a lot of muscle tension and chronic pain. What I really like about the Good Feet system is that the right arch supports can put the foot in its proper alignment. So all the joints up the rest of the body will be aligned properly as well. And when the body's aligned, we can reduce the risk of injury and chronic pain.
Come to the Good Feet store now for a free fitting and test walk.
Sacramento, Dirk Bentley's coming to town.
Getting drunk on a plane.
For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Hard Health Park for Country in the Part 2.
What was I thinking?
And he's bringing some friends. Beverly,
Close your eyes for this.
Tyler Rich, Dasha, and more. Saturday, September 28th at Hard Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House.
What's going on? We're talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram. Chad, what's happening for Jeep Adventure Days?
Right now, save up to $12,000 off MSRP on new 2023 Dodge Charger SXTs, starting as low as $28,715. These are some of the most fun cars you'll ever drive, and there's just a handful left, so don't wait and miss your chance.
Any other big deals?
Save money and gas when you save up to $17,000 off MSRP on all remaining new 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xEs, which get up to 56 MPGE.
Don't miss this savings. See their full inventory at HobletDodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblet, period.
12,000 total net savings after 3420 factory rebates and 8580 dealer discount. Rebates may include 500 trade-in assistance. Must have qualifying trade-in. 17,000 total net savings after 4250 factory rebates and 12,750 dealer discount. Rebates include 3750 federal EV tax credit offered by third party, subject to change without notice. Consult a tax professional for eligibility. 5H net savings. See dealer for details.
Pros, now's your chance to save big during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Right now, save big on appliances like the GE Stainless Steel Kitchen Suite. Plus, save $40 on 5-gallon pails of Valspar Reserve, Valspar Defense, and Valspar Stain. Shop Pro Savings Days today for big savings on everything you need to get the job done right. Because Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 9/27 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Tommy, I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
$30 minutes, giving away tickets to UC Davis versus Utah Tech, family 4-pack from your boys, Stiles and Watkins. Wanted to tie a bow on around the NBA, and then we will discuss who is on Fraud Watch. And, of course, for our college football fans, we got the college football slate. Some good ones this weekend. College football goes, it's like a roller coaster. It's had some good games, and then they play some bad teams, which has been exciting because the teams have been winning. Northern Illinois, I think it was Memphis, somebody like that. Somebody else won who got a bunch of money and then beat a team on their home field. But I wanted to, you guys were calling me a hater, and I'm starting to think that this Shaquille O'Neal, Rudy Gobert thing, it's getting kind of weird. I'm just going to be honest with you. Here is Shaq on his podcast, and I think it was a collab with Udonis Haslem, and Shaq is still talking about, and I'll tell you this much. I was looking for this audio. There are about 3 or 4 different clips, and maybe it's just all from the same segment of Shaq talking about Rudy Gobert. It's, guys, to me, it's he's definitely becoming a hater, and I'm not really sure why. Here it is.
You recently had comments, and Rudy Gobert had his opinion on how he felt. You made your opinion on him, but you responded to criticism by saying that I'm gonna show you. If you want to talk that, I'm gonna show you when I get in between those lines.
you know it's not personal because you've been in the trenches with me. If I would have said some shit like that to you, you'd have came in pissed off.
I would have come in there to tear somebody's head off, lock me in the room with that, and I promise you I come out.
And that's what I like. So a lot of these big men, when I put out these challenges, they fail the test because they respond.
They sensitive now.
Sensitive. You know, when I speak, I try to speak from facts. It may come out wrong, and you may think I'm hating. And his comments, you're trying to stay relevant. I got 15 commercials. What you talking about?
This is true.
Yeah, I'm a general.
This is true.
General. What we talking about?
It's true. I'm the man with the mustache.
I want you to protect this thing of ours.
So he goes on to talk about how these guys are making so much money now, and how, hey, you know, Robinson and the other big men, you got to play with a certain level of pride because you're playing for the legacy. You're playing for us, and we weren't making money like that, and you guys are getting the bag, and it's just kind of typical OG stuff. But specifically with the Rudy Gobert thing, Chris, you know, when I put this in, you might have been thinking, okay, was this the Rudy Gobert thing from Shaq a couple weeks ago or most recently? And then he, you know, is saying Rudy doesn't really have a lot to say. And I think that Rudy has so many haters right now. He's got to pick and choose who he responds to. And then for Shaq, Chris, I hate this, right? You know, I watch a lot of Law and Order, SVU, shout out Olivia Benson.
Right.
And it's tough where it's, oh, well, if you're guilty, you wouldn't react like that. But if you aren't guilty, don't you want to defend yourself? And I feel like Rudy is stuck between a rock and a hard place where it's, these guys are going to talk trash about me. I'm soft if I don't respond, though, so they can just talk trash about me. And I don't know, Chris. I like Shaq. I think he's funny. I think he's entertaining. But it's getting kind of old. Just give it a rest. And I think that Shaq, I don't know what problem he has with Rudy Gobert, and he's not alone, but it just feels a little much at this point.
I don't know. I mean, I really like Shaq. I mean, as a personality, I think he's hilarious. I just think that this has kind of been his shtick, is he kind of views himself as like the big man godfather, and I actually kind of like it. I think I mean, he did this with Dwight Howard as well. He was incredibly tough on Dwight Howard, and he's at least been consistent. He always says, like, yeah, I might be hard on you, I might go over the top, but it really is only because I'm trying to push you, and I want you to take that bulletin board material, and I want to see if it makes you better. And I think I do think that, you know, it is kind of his way of making sure that the purity of the big man doesn't go anywhere. And you know, yeah, it can definitely get annoying, and sometimes it does feel like he's pushing too far. But you know, at the end of the day, like I do think that, you know, everybody else, you and I talk trash about Rudy Gobert. To me, Shaq has all the right in the world to say even more. He's more qualified. He's been in the trenches. He can speak better to what it is he's going through and maybe what it is that he needs to be better. And I do kind of think that just in general, all these centers do take it way too personally sometimes when Shaq is and has the pedigree of being somebody who is very credible in everything he says. I just think that he's trying to make them better, and that's really how I've read it. But I also know, you know, I've heard Shaq talk about it a lot of times, so I could definitely understand where if you're only seeing these clips of Shaq just routinely going off on people,
Sure,
maybe you're like, why is this guy picking on certain people? But I do think that he keeps it fairly consistent. If we didn't he ask like Jokic a really awkward question or something like that too?
Yeah,
that led to him kind of being like, why are you trying to take Jokic's spotlight? Again, I just think Shaq has a weird way of doing it, but I think he's very consistent in trying to push all these big men to be the best big men they can be.
No, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, the Jokic thing is a good shout. And maybe it's less about Shaq. It's just more about, and I don't even really like Rudy Gobert. So for me to find myself on this side, it just feels like every week there's somebody just kind of trying to dunk on Rudy Gobert, no pun intended. And it's just, okay, we get it. He's limited. You know, it was the depoy thing. He doesn't deserve all the depoys. And again, it's not that I disagree. It's just, all right, if everybody is saying the same thing and we understand that, we ain't the ones voting. You know what I mean? And he got the depoys. We'll see what happens with the rest of his career. But to me, nobody is putting Rudy Gobert in Shaq's category, though. So it would be different if people were trying to say Rudy Gobert is Shaq level in any capacity. I don't think that's happening. So it just feels like a moot point to me.
Well, I mean, I think it's just, he's won what, 3 defensive players of the year. I don't know if people are directly comparing him to Shaq, but at some point here, Rudy Gobert is going to be brought up in that conversation of best centers of all time. And I think Shaq is just letting it be known. And I think, again, Shaq was the most dominant player even still that I have ever seen on a basketball court with my eyes. I obviously wasn't alive for Michael Jordan, but I think the dominance that Shaq had is still yet to be seen. I think he's totally valid in giving Rudy all of these criticisms, and not just Rudy, but I'm fine with it. I'm personally fine.
Let's get to a little bit of fraud watch, Chris, and we'll essentially do a different version of this when we do our picks. But these are the teams that I have listed under fraud watch this weekend. Let me know if I have left anybody off. We have your Vikings on fraud watch as far as their 2-0 start. I also have
Hold on. Wait, the Vikings are on fraud watch?
Yeah.
But what if they lose to the Texans? Texans are a 2-0 team. That's a good team. Why can't that just be two teams squaring off?
Two teams just playing some American football.
Good old-fashioned American football.
You might be right. So neither team, because I have Vikings and Texans.
No, yeah, I don't think either. If both teams are on there, I think that might say that neither of them are really on fraud. That's just two good teams playing each other. I don't think one of them is going to be proven a fraud just with a loss.
All right, let's check. Just like we did Family Feud this morning, survey says Texans and Vikings have been removed from fraud watch. Very good, Chris. What about the Eagles? You keeping them on fraud watch?
Sure, yeah. I mean,
they got the Saints at Saints.
Again, I can maybe make the same argument. You lose to the Saints. The Saints have looked like the best team in football. Does a loss from the Eagles really mean that they're not anything? If anything, I would say the Saints maybe are on more fraud watch than the Eagles, because if the Saints lose and the Eagles have shown a lot of ups and downs, I would say that there's probably more pressure on the Saints to win that one than the Eagles. But yeah, sure.
Next on the list, the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are 2-0, and they are taking on the Broncos at home. I think this would be a bad loss.
Yeah, this is a terrible loss
for the Bucs if they don't get it done. So they are on fraud watch if they are unable to get it done. And I think the last one, Chris, a little bit different to what you said, and it was a good call on both teams being 2-0. I have the Ravens and Cowboys under fraud watch, and they are playing each other, and they're both good teams. But one of you is going to come out, or Ravens could be 1-2 after this, and the Cowboys could be 1-2 after this. So the big difference, I would assume, between 1-2 and 2-1. So I have both of those teams on my fraud watch list.
Can I throw the Lions on there? If the Lions lose to the Cardinals, I know the Cardinals had a really great win last week, but to me, if the Lions lose to the Cardinals, that could definitely be, you're an overtime away from being 0-3 after being really hyped up during the entirety of the offseason. They do have the best offensive line in football. There's no reason why the Detroit Lions should be 1-2, especially with a loss to the Cardinals. To me, you just can't have that, especially after losing last week. I think there's a lot of pressure on Detroit to kind of right this ship, because if they lose this week, let's say the Vikings go 3-0. I don't think the Vikings are going to win the division, but it puts a lot of pressure on a team like Detroit to try and keep up. And then that's where the division games could come into play. And if they lose a division game to the Packers, if they lose the division game to the Vikings, that can maybe be how the Lions, who were, I think, a lot of people's favorites to win the entire conference, or at least at the end of the regular season, that could be how the Lions maybe sneak into a wild card spot. So I think the Lions, just in general, have a lot riding on this week.
There you go. There's just, with the Rams and the Niners, there's just no way you can put either team on that fraud watch list. Jags at Bills, I just don't think a lot of people believe in the Jags. Yeah. But they are good enough to where if the Bills lost at home, would you put the Bills on fraud watch?
Maybe, but you could also just chalk it down as a bad loss, or as a loss against the team that was really hungry for one. I probably wouldn't, but it wouldn't be if you're Buffalo, you really want to get that one. I would say probably not, but it definitely could be a really bad loss for Buffalo.
And last but not least, Chris, he's got the aura. He's got the frosted tips, just like Brendan had back in the day. But you have the Bengals hosting the Commanders. I mean, this is huge huge fraud watch vibes if the Bengals lose this game to a rookie QB and a Commanders team that is literally just trying to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, biggest spread of the week. You're at home. You're 0-2. Everything is against you. I know T. Higgins is, I think, still questionable to make his season debut, but you have to win this if you're the Bengals. There's no excuses. The Commanders, they're a scrappy team, but they are not a good team. Maybe they can make it a little bit more interesting than what people expect, but on a Monday night showcase game, you got to be able to show up and you got to get your first win. At that point, if you're losing to the Commanders on Monday night, I think you lose all faith from everybody in the Bengals. And we'll see, man. We will really, really see because an 0-3 start to the Bengals definitely creates a lot of conversation around what they're going to do there in Cincinnati. And, they're only a couple years removed from a Super Bowl, but it doesn't feel like they have reached that quality since they've been there. So, things can get real squirrely if the Bengals end up choking that one away.
Coming up next, we have some fun with the college football slate. I'm talking about how I'm Manninged out, and there's another one on the way. Arch Manning makes his debut as a starter tomorrow for the UT Longhorns. If you are a college football fan, be sure to call on in, 916-339-1140. We love talking to our college football fans. Tailgating, whatever you got going on, who's your team, and what do you think they're going to do this weekend? Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sactown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sactown Sports app.
Silverado Savings Spectacular now at Maida Chevy with $13,000 off MSRP. Every new Silverado half-ton LTZ in stock after rebates. $12,500 off every Silverado half-ton High Country after rebate. And $11,000 off all new Silverado half-ton RSTs exclusively at Maida Chevy at MaidaChevy.com. Sacramento Silverado headquarters. Whatever Silverado you choose, you'll save thousands at Maida Chevy. Together, let's drive.
Not available with special financing and leasing some other offers. Must trade in 2010 model year or newer. Ends 9/30/24.
Deftones. North American Tour 2025, live in Sacramento. Golden One Center, Saturday, March 1st. With special guests, the Mars Volta and Fleshwater. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. For more, visit Deftones.com.
What sets Ashton & Price apart from other injury law firms? I'll tell you. From beginning to end, all important legal decisions are made directly between our clients and their experienced local attorney. A gate agent flying the plane, the receptionist performing surgery, not a chance. There's simply no substitute for the unique power of the direct attorney-client relationship offered by Ashton & Price. And there's never a fee until we win, and between you and me, we win a lot.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
It's not hard to be a mom. It's hard to be a good mom. It's easy to be a bad mom. That's so easy. But to be a good mom is hard. To be a bad mom, that's as easy as being a great dad. That's...
Nikki Glazer, Alive and Unwell Tour. Friday, September 20th. The venue at Thunder Valley. Tickets on sale now. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. She's alive and unwell. Don't miss Nikki Glazer.
Thank you. Good night.
Model Year End pricing is back at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
During the Model Year End event, lower interest rates at Folsom Lake Honda make lower payments. It's no wonder why Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop. Come in today or check out our entire inventory online at FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Get an instant cash offer for your trade at FolsomLakeHonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda. Go to FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Your one-stop Honda shop.
Celebrate Sacramento Rivercats baseball during our 25th anniversary season and join the fun at Sutter Health Park. For a full promotion schedule and to buy tickets, visit rivercats.com. We'll see you there.
Sactown Sports. Call or text at 916-339-1140.
From the 916, Shaq's been a hater for a long time. Chris didn't see the hate there. As we get into the college football slate, and there are some good games this weekend. Obviously, you have Arch Manning making his start. We also have the top stories at the top of the hour coming up at 1 o'clock. A lot of Caitlin Clark, a lot of WNBA in that segment. Also, a Derek Carr appearance in the 1 o'clock hour. And our giveaway, UC Davis Family 4-pack. That is coming up about 15 minutes. Might want to switch on over to the AM situation if you want to be a part of that. If you are listening on the Sacktown Sports app, YouTube, you should be good. 916-339-1140. Couple games, guys, want to go over for the college ranks. And again, we are a big college football show. At least that's what our fans tell us. They love to hop in and talk about college football. So, Chris, as we go through the slate, you have your boy, or I should say Patrick Mahomes' little cuzzo, Dylan Raiola, and number 22, Nebraska, taking on number 24, Illinois. Illinois is just always a team who we're just going to be good at everything. You know, they'll be every 5 years or so, they'll be a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, and maybe they'll get it done, but they never win the whole thing in basketball. But they're always very respectable. So you have Nebraska taking on Illinois.
I don't know anything about their football program. I don't think their football program's ever been good.
Yeah, but they'll have, like I said, basketball about every 3 years, right? Every 2 years, every 3 years. Football, once in a blue moon, every 5 to 7. Illinois will pop up and pop out and show them just like Kendrick. So number 24 at number 22. That is tonight, actually, 5 o'clock. So, yeah, if you were looking for something to watch and you're not going to the YOLO High Wheelers, which you definitely should do that over at UC Davis today as they're trying to hold on to their Pioneer playoff hopes, Pioneer championship hopes, you can check out Patrick Mahomes' little cousin, Dylan Raiola, as the Cornhuskers take on the Fighting Illini. A classic matchup, Chris, and I don't know what the line is 18.5 for Clemson. I think NC State always gives Clemson trouble. So NC State heads to Clemson, at Clemson. I think even when they were rocking, when Trevor Lawrence was a competent quarterback, and same with Deshaun Watson, NC State always gives Clemson trouble. 18.5. I'd probably go with NC State. And I know nothing about NC State. I just know that they always seem to give Clemson trouble. Another team, Chris, Utah State at Temple. I mean, Lincoln Financial Field, there you go. You can check that one out. Utah State is favored by 6.5. Temple is just, they're struggling right now, so I won't make anybody else have to deal with that. Next on the list, Chris, USC, number 11 at number 18, Michigan at the Big House. That Big Ten rivalry we've always loved. USC is favored by 4.5. You have UCLA at 16, LSU. That one could be a good one. Continuing to go down the list, and I think I've already mentioned it, but we'll mention it again. Louisiana Monroe going to University of Texas. Arch Manning with Quinn Ewers out. Arch Manning will get his first start. Arch Manning balled out. He did his thing when he came in for Quinn. And you had the brother that didn't go to the NFL that he was tweeting about, he didn't get that speed from me. Arch Manning, we are right in line, Chris. I mean, what has been, look, you got to deal with Bronny, and then we'll see what happens with Bryce. But when it comes to the sports royalty, is there any sport, and you can use any sport, right? Does anything come close to the Mannings? Am I missing an obvious one?
No, I'm. First off, I also do want to make mention of Tennessee, Oklahoma. That's the one that I'm. Really looking forward to this weekend.
Yes, I'm getting to that for a specific reason.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, they are. I told my friend yesterday, it's like the Mannings are definitely like the football version of the Kennedys. Like, I don't think that there is a royal family that is in American culture that quite hits like the Mannings do. You know, the Kardashians, the Mannings, that is in a weird way American royalty. And Arch is really just seemingly continuing the legacy. I mean, he was the number one recruit out of high school his senior year. He's now a sophomore. It looks like he's going to kind of just stick around and wait for his opportunity. Probably could have transferred this past year, could have gone to a school outside of Texas where he would have been guaranteed a starting spot from his freshman year, but he's done a lot of things well. And just off the field specifically, like he's not taking NIL deals until he is the starter. He didn't want to opt into the college football game because he wanted to just, be focused on football and have the conversation be about him as an actual football player. He's been great. I mean, his 1 week of performing, he threw 4 touchdowns and had a long rushing touchdown. Looks like it might just be more of the same from Arch that we've seen from his two uncles. I think he's going to be the next Trevor Lawrence in terms of a prospect, and we'll see. I can't, after Trevor's performed how he has, I guess we can't really say there's any sort of guarantee, but I think as a prospect, he's going to be about as good as it gets. Yeah, he's been legit, man. And yes, it's very early. And like you it's funny you said, yeah, he could have went to a program and been the starter. Probably could. And, there's the Cam Wards and there's some dudes balling, but he might have went to the one of three schools. The only school. Maybe Carson the only. Beck maybe probably starts over. Right. Seniority, but he wanted to rock with the Longhorns, and that's what it is. So yeah, as much as I am Manning doubt, I do love a good story where the legacy continues on. I guess I was gonna say LeBron, but like I said, we got to see what happens with Bronny. We got to see what happens with Bryce. This doesn't even start with Peyton and Eli. It starts with their father. So because of that, I think that there's just nothing like it. And there are other guys with brothers. There's the J.J. Watt and T.J. Watt, the Kelseys as well. The Matthews as well. And the Matthews, I think they had 3. Yeah, they had 3, and then I think their dad and their grandpa played. But way back. Right. I think the difference is the media. The media, right? These guys, you haven't heard from the Matthews. Quarterbacks. They're quarterbacks. Yes. And Peyton was as hyped as anybody, and Peyton was maybe the best quarterback outside of Tom Brady. Eli Manning wins the 2 Super Bowls directly away from Tom Brady. It does not get bigger than that. No, because even the Currys, it's like Dell was fine. Dell was, Dell was a good player, but it wasn't like Dell was a top 10 player in the NBA by. That wasn't even a consideration. No, and you have Seth, but Seth, great, pretty good career. Yeah. And then you have the guys that nobody ever talks about, all 18 holidays that are in the NBA, but nobody really, nobody talks about the balls, but it's just Lonzo. We don't know what Lonzo got going on at this point. He has looked better, and LeVar. Yeah, I don't know. And specifically in the NFL, I think it's the Mannings and everyone else. And in baseball, I don't know that anybody is that close. Yeah, Chris, you said it. The but it just stops there. Yeah, it stops there. It stops there. Dusty Baker. We'll see how this kid does.
Right, he's in the bigs now.
Yeah.
Shout out Cal.
That's freaking nuts. Man.
Yeah, there you go. And last but not least, like Chris was saying, probably the highlighted matchup this weekend, number 6 tennis, and that's where College Game Day is. We saw Pat McAfee there. Yes,
that's why he was there.
Number 6 Tennessee at number 15 Oklahoma. And the thing with Tennessee, Chris, do you have a list? I don't know if we ever talked about this. And Nate, you too. Do you guys have colleges? And I know you guys play NCAA. I don't even play. Do you have colleges that you just like for no reason? Do you have any of those?
Not really. I always wanted to have one. I never really. USC for a little bit, just because Reggie Bush, when I was a kid, was the biggest thing on the planet. But
maybe not hardcore. Maybe not
10 years.
Maybe not hardcore fandom, but
you check in with.
If they're playing, you always. There's something in you that just you want them to win.
No, not really. I kind of year by year would pick a team. Like, when Cam Newton was doing his thing, I was all in on Auburn. I would watch as many Auburn games as possible. USC, when Reggie Bush was doing his thing, I was every single week watching Reggie Bush go off. Stanford, when McCaffrey was there, absolutely. Andrew Luck too. So I'm more of a again, extremely casual, but I follow the stars in college football.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is that I don't know. Never been to Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I guess when I was a kid, I liked the color orange because that's just what I like. Tennessee is that team for me. No connection to Tennessee. I always root for them. I always have. If they have a decent Tennessee, at homeboy.
You're sick of the Mannings?
Well, I know, and then Tennessee, and they're good at baseball. They bat flip. Tennessee's my team. When what's the guy that they didn't like on the Mavericks, and now he's on the Hornets? Grant.
Oh yeah.
With Grant Williams, when he was at Tennessee, I had Tennessee winning the whole thing.
Okay.
And they burned me time and time again. And I'm telling you right now, stay away from Tennessee -7. I would stay away from that.
This
is what they do.
This is a different team.
And I really liked when they had Hendon Hooker. And I'll never forget, I was on my baby moon. And Tennessee, that was when Hendon Hooker got hurt. And I thought this was the year Tennessee could do some things. Hendon Hooker gets hurt. Stay away. This is what they're going to let you down.
They are absolutely insane.
Stay away.
This year. I think this year's different. I think I saw a graphic the other day. They have the biggest point differential of any team through 3 games in SEC history. They won last week 71-0. They beat NC State that you were just lauding 51-10 2 weeks ago. I think this is going to be a long day for Oklahoma. Oklahoma 7-point underdogs, 7.5-point underdogs at home in Norman. That should tell you what you need to know. I think this Tennessee team's legit.
I hope, but they break my heart. And like I said, I still need to I got to get to Nashville or something. There you go. All right. That was good stuff. Let's get to the top stories at the top of the hour and our ticket giveaway. UC Davis, speaking of college football, UC Davis ticket giveaway when we return, and our top stories at the top of the hour. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Subscribe to Sacktown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys, live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus, view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sacktown Sports.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
A new Honda? Nice. Well, it was like this. It was a super hot day, so we all stopped for some ice cream. When bam, the AC went out. My dad started sweating and was all, man, I stink. And my brother was like, I hate this car. And my mom was all, I'm dying in here. Then I said, it's time to call Stockton Honda. Then Dad was like, honey, you're right. I knew you were my favorite. And just like that, Stockton Honda to the rescue.
StocktonHonda.com. Thunder, feel the thunder. It ignites something inside of you. Lightning and the thunder. Sets alight an elevated state of being. Days are pure exhilaration. And the nights, they're simply electric. See it, hear it, feel it. Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Feel the thunder.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. Connect to the most reliable 5G network nationwide. Well, opportunity is a big part of September baseball, and in the case of the A's lefty Brady Basso, it's been a bit of a twisting path. When he took the mound for the Athletics against the White Sox on Friday the 13th, he was beginning his 5th stint with the ball club this year. He went out and fired 5 1/3 innings of shutout baseball that night to earn his first major league win.
Want to save on some of the biggest names in streaming on the network made for streaming? Now through September 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for 12 months with a 1-year contract. And for just $15 a month, add the new Stream Saver. That includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix for just $35 a month. Switch at Xfinity.com today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay to store bank account. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Currently $54 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity internet or TV and price subject to change.
High voltage live boxing action returns to Northern California Saturday, September 21st at the venue at Thunder Valley with Thunder Showdown featuring the undefeated 12th ranked welterweight in the world, Amari Jones, plus Alan Sanchez versus Sal Briseno, and 8 more exciting undercard fights with Maribel Guerrero, Blake McKernan, Gabriel Garcia, Anthony Hernandez, Ruben Torres, Alexander Espinoza, and more. Don't miss the Thunder Showdown September 21st at Thunder Valley. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. Fight cards subject to change. Hey, get ready. Here comes your Sacktown Sports live events calendar. You don't want to miss Winona Judd at Hard Rock Live on September 28th. And on October 4th, comedy legend Rob Schneider is bringing the laughs to Hard Rock Live Sacramento. Space out with Weezer for the Voyage to the Blue Planet Tour 2024 at the Golden One Center on October 8th. And looking further ahead into October, Alec Benjamin brings his soulful vibes to Hard Rock Live Sacramento on the 16th. Then on October 17th, catch the hilarious Ronnie Chang at the Bob Hope Memorial Theater in Stockton. On October 20th, Renee Vaca brings his hilarious stand-up to the Crest Theater in Sacramento. And finally, gear up for the ultimate Halloween bash with a $5,000 costume contest. It's Sinners and Saints Saturday at Thunder Valley on October 26th. Costumes, music, and plenty of thrills. Get all the event details at SacktownSports.com and stay locked on to Sacktown Sports for your chance to win tickets.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
No look, Bibby to Weber down the lane, flying jam. There's your play of the night right there. It's inside is Sabonis, a two-hand rip, a brilliant pass from De'Aaron Fox.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento.
Sacktown Sports.
Live and local. This is Sacktown Sports.
It is time. 1 p.m., you know what that means. Well, it is the last hour of the show, specifically for the week. Stiles and Watkins. It's been a fun one, and we're going to keep it going. Got a lot of football coming up. Prop talk, by the way, I don't know. You want to follow Nate after his pick yesterday. I don't even know if mine hit, but Nate's was.
I went against my gut in like every possible way. Like I gave all the reasons why you shouldn't, and I went, I'm still gonna do it.
Because even when you do that, sometimes it doesn't hit. So yeah. I hear you on
that number was so low.
And he didn't even get to 100. I don't think.
No, he didn't.
The 98, something crazy. Jacoby Brissett and his number. So a lot of football coming up. But first, our top stories at the top of the hour. And first, before that, the ticket giveaway: Utah Tech taking on your UC Davis Aggies, and Stiles and Watkins want to keep you laced up all season long. We have a family 4-pack with parking, 916-339-1140. Nate, again, we'll end it with you, your alma mater, looking for caller number
7.
Caller number 7, lucky number 7. That might be something, for touchdowns and for Thunder Valley tomorrow night.
Oh, I keep forgetting we're going to that.
I've had it circled for 2 weeks. I'm so excited for tomorrow. I just got a bro down day in general.
I'm going to spend so much money on steak.
Okay, well, there you go. 916-339-1140. UC Davis against the Utah Tech Trailblazers. 916-339-1140 against the Utah Tech Trailblazers. Family 4-pack, including parking. And Nate will let you know if you call in, if you are the winner, say, hey, Nate, where should I eat before the game? And maybe, just maybe, he will have somewhere for you. So while Nate is handling that, before we get into the top stories at the top of the hour, we are going to pull the curtain back a little bit. Chris and I, this will be our second time golfing tomorrow. We are bringing our hard hats. We will have
This is our third time.
That's right. This is our third time, second 18.
Yes.
And we are going to have a lot of fun, and that will lead us into the fight night.
Yes.
If you were a winner of the Thunder Showdown, like we said,
to the Thunder,
be sure to have some fun. Yeah, the fur coat, the fake fur coat didn't happen to make it. So, it is getting a little chilly at night, but I don't think it's going to be chilly enough, and definitely not next week. So, yeah, Amari Jones going for 13-0. So, Chris and I, a lot of people say, hey, you guys, there's some people that like the first take thing. And Chris and I, this is what you do know about us. When we disagree, it's for real because we don't disagree on much. That Brandon Ayuk thing, that was for real, right? We've seen the ESPN stories. What was it, Kendrick Perkins, when he said, I had a take, and then the producer told me, well, are you sure? Are you sure Phoenix can't win? And he looked at the producer, are you telling me that I need to say the other side? And the long story short was yes. And Kendrick Perkins went on the show and said it was during the Bucks. It was the Bucks Suns finals, and he thought the Bucks were going to come back or something, but they made him take the side of the Suns are going to take care of business. So none of that happens on this show. We are all organic, just like the expensive area at your local grocery store. Let's get into the top stories at the top of the hour. Chris, I'm going to throw this one to you because you are the WNBA guy. So we have a couple WNBA spots on here, top stories at the top of the hour. All season playoffs are locked as the WNBA take an official look at the bracket for the 2024 WNBA playoffs. First round begins September 22nd at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN.
Right, this Sunday.
All right, Chris, what are you excited about? What should people be excited about?
I would say that obviously the series that everyone's going to have their eyes on is the Connecticut Sun against the Fever. Of course, Caitlin Clark gets her team to the postseason, turns that thing around in just a season. I am not super confident that it's going to be a good-looking series for the Fever. It's their first time. A lot of their players' first time being in an environment like that. Kelsey Mitchell, definitely a name to watch. Of course, Caitlin. We'll see how Aaliyah Boston can do. They've played Connecticut well once this season. Another time they completely blew them out. A lot of veterans over on Connecticut's side. I think Connecticut's probably going to get it done. They're only in the first round best of 3 series, also a bit strange. They do it differently. It's not 1-1-1. It's not a home. It's not a home for the 1 seed and then home for the 8 seed and then goes back to the 1 seed. It's the first 2 games are at the higher seed, and then the third game, if necessary, is going to be for the lower seed. So that's a bit interesting. Maybe if the Fever can sneak one in that series, they can get a home floor game 3, winner take all. That would be their best case. But I think it's going to be a lot of favorites in this one. New York Liberty definitely taking over Atlanta. I don't think the Mercury and Diana Taurasi are going to be able to do much with the Lynx. Going to be unfortunate to see Diana Taurasi probably going to retire after that series is over. The most exciting one, the 4 versus 5 seed, you got the two-time defending champion Las Vegas Aces going on against the Seattle Storm. That should be a good one. Really good guard play in that one. But Vegas, they had a really, really rough start to their season. Didn't have Chelsea Gray out there for the first portion. I think it's going to be all favorites across the board in the first round. Then we get to the fun stuff, and we'll see what happens in round 2 and then in the finals. But again, can't stress enough how fun the WNBA playoffs are. Starts Sunday. I would definitely recommend tuning in.
Well, speaking of fun in the WNBA, here are the WNBA records set by one Caitlin Clark. Rookie assists per game, rookie 3-point field goals made, rookie total points, rookie triple doubles, rookie guard double-double streak, rookie points, assists, double-double, rookie all-star game assists, and rookie total rebounds. I mean, Chris, it was about, did it take her a month to get used to things in the WNBA? 2 months? Maybe that to get used to things in the WNBA. This was exactly what the WNBA had. I think that they wanted this to happen quickly, and it did. She gets into the playoffs. Can't say enough about Caitlin Clark and really the home run that she's hit for the WNBA.
Yeah, she also led the league in assists, also led the league in 3-pointers made in general, not just amongst rookies. She's been incredible. She took a huge leap after the Olympic break. That was really the moment in which it started to feel like, okay, this thing is 100% legitimate, not just a fun story, not just, the Fever are feeding her and stat padding or anything like that. they as a team took to another level after that Olympic break. And I think that this is just the beginning of it. Wouldn't surprise me if next year they're a top 5 seed pretty easily in the playoffs. And maybe they'll make a big move and kind of as Vegas and the Liberty have kind of started to make these super teams. I do wonder how long it's going to take for them to recognize Caitlin also needs help, and it would do us a lot of marketing value as a league if we can get another real star. Not that Kelsey Mitchell hasn't been fantastic, but they really do need a wing player that can really bring that team together. And once they do, I really do think that's when the WNBA is going to be in a lot of fun, because then you have realistically probably 4 or 5 teams that can actually win the title. This year, unfortunately, I do think it's going to be between either the Liberty, the Aces, they play in the second round, or the Minnesota Lynx. I think the Lynx are really, really underrated. Nafisha Collier, that's the one to look out for this playoffs.
Next on the list, I just love that this is turning into an actual betting thing. This is from NBA Central per Front Office Sports. Media insiders believe Brian Windhorst was being held back by Adrian Wojnarowski, and that Windhorst is ready to ascend to the next level now that Woj is gone. Again, per Front Office Sports. He's criminally underrated, said one source. In fact, sources whisper Woj's departure could pave the way for Windhorst's ascension, that the feeling in some circles is he's been held back by Woj's outsized presence. Chris, you think they will stay internal? I mean, everybody's trying to save money. You could make the argument that if they think they could have something cooking with Windhorst and you don't go after Shams, that could save the company some money? Or do you think it's, I don't care? Because if Shams comes in, then this idea of Brian Windhorst moving in that direction, it's cooked. Or he has to leave ESPN if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that he doesn't want to get into it. If I had to guess, I mean, I don't know anything really about Brian Windhorst's personal life, but I would assume he probably, if he wanted to get into it by now, he probably would have. I don't know if Woj is necessarily holding him back. I don't know if ESPN had some rule against, hey, if you have something, give it to Woj. But I kind of feel like it takes a lot of effort, blood, sweat, tears, and just having your phone next to you 24/7. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's capable of it, but I just haven't seen him really be at the forefront of a lot of breaking news. So I would just defer to others that have at least seen do it at a pretty high level. I'm sure he's got all the sources necessary, but it's just a lot of work, man.
Yeah, it definitely is. Last but not least, Derek Carr, former Raider QB who's been balling with the Saints, was fined $14,000 for his grab for his Michael Jackson impersonation and the private grab. That's $14K. And, what I don't really get, guys, for football, and it's kind of similar in a different way to the Barry Bonds thing, not having Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame, but his stuff is in the Hall of Fame. The NFL, they post this stuff all over their social media and get all the clicks and views and all that, and then they fine him. I don't understand that. If you're not okay with it, why are you promoting it and then you fine him? Makes no sense to me.
You're not going to catch me defending the NFL. I don't get it either. It's, I guess, just in this specific scenario, we got to blame Marshawn Lynch, I guess. I don't think this was a rule before Marshawn started diving into the end zone, and doing what he does. Before that, I don't think they really even thought about the crotch grab, if you will. And, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It's very hypocritical. And, that's pretty par for the course for the NFL.
Those were your top stories at the top of the hour. Coming up next, it's time. Get that NFL music playing. It's time to go over the NFL slate. And then we close with a little bit of prop talk, closeouts, and shout-outs. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings, Niners, and the NFL? Well, Sacktown Sports has you covered.
Touchdown! San Francisco! It's all on his shoulders. Fox rocks. He fires for the win. He's got the triple.
Catch all your Kings, Niners, and NFL games all year long on Sacktown Sports and SacktownSports.com.
Sacramento, Dierks Bentley's coming to town.
Getting drunk on a plane.
For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park for Country in the Park 2.
What was I thinking?
And he's bringing some friends. Beverly.
I want to close your eyes for this.
Tyler Rich.
Be the difference.
Dasha. And more. Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com. Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House. Do you have old baseball cards and sports memorabilia from the 50s and 60s collecting dust in your closet? They could be very valuable in any condition. Find out at the Sports Cards Roadshow. We'll be in the Sacramento area to evaluate your old and modern sports cards. Visit sportscardsroadshow.com today to schedule your appointment. Ask about your free on-site sports card evaluation. For large vintage and modern collections, we can come to you. Skip the garage sale. Sports Cards Roadshow is buying. Call 1-800-560-3272 today or visit sportscardsroadshow.com.
Sacktown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sacktown Sports and subscribe.
It is time to go through the NFL slate and who will come out victorious, who will possibly embarrass themselves this weekend. Guys, it can't get any wackier than last week, right? I mean, it can't now. Let's be honest here. It can't get wackier than last week. But with all the injuries, there it is. With all the injuries, anything is possible. All right. Let's start here. Sunday morning. The sun is shining. Nice 90 degrees.
Too hot.
It's always too hot. New York Giants at Cleveland Browns. The line is 6.5 for Cleveland. Obviously, we just do our pick 'em based on the winners, but it is fun to discuss who's going to cover or not. Let's start with you, Chris Watkins. I think this is an easy one, so we should get through it quickly.
Yeah, should be a good game for Cleveland. I mean, the Giants, especially their offense, just has looked terrible. I know Cleveland's offense has looked terrible at points throughout this season, but it should be good enough. That defense is incredible. It should be good enough to handle this and not really have much stress at all. It should be an easy one in Cleveland as well.
Giants might be the worst team in football now. I think they are. Cleveland's got it, but it's a low score for me.
Yeah, still, look, Cleveland gets a W, but I think there's still a lot of questions about Deshaun Watson, if Amari Cooper wants to be there, but Cleveland gets this W. This is how Cleveland finds itself at the end of the season, possibly making the playoffs, because they have games like this where they do take care of business, even if it's ugly. I don't even know if Cleveland covers, but they are going to get this W. Next, we have the Indianapolis Colts hosting the Chicago Bears.
Ugly football.
Yeah, the Colts are favored by 1. Bounce back game for Anthony Richardson, or did Caleb Williams start to figure it out? I'll go first here based on the defense that the Colts have, and they're at home. I feel like the Colts might win by more than 1. I would be swayed to maybe even take the Colts and the points because they played so poorly last weekend, but I'm going to take the Colts, and I think they do cover for whatever it's worth. Nate?
First of all, I think the Bears defense is pretty solid too. I think the Bears have a decent defense. Anthony Richardson this year has turned the ball over 6 times already, 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles. The guy will run a bit too. He's got 93 yards. Caleb Williams turned the ball over 4 times this season, too. I think it's ugly. I don't think the Bears win. I think the Colts do bounce back and win, but I think it's close.
Yeah, the Bears' offense has looked absolutely terrible through these 2 weeks. I feel like the Colts can at least move the ball. Anthony Richardson last week was absolutely terrible. I want to put a lot of it on the fact that he was outdoors in Lambeau Field. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He had a bad week last week. Anthony Richardson's always a roller coaster. I think he's going to play really well this week at home against a Bears defense that is good, but the team shouldn't be very good. I think they'll get a lot of opportunities, and I think if you give Anthony Richardson a lot of opportunities, he can make a lot of plays at some point here. So I think the Colts are going to win pretty easily, and 1-point spread to me is I'm taking that number running with it.
Yeah, I feel like that too, Chris.
Looks like no Keenan Allen though for the Bears side.
Yeah, right, and it's some of the same things we saw when he was in LA with the Chargers.
Yes.
It's the
even
same
back
thing.
to San Diego.
Right.
He was always been like this.
Even in San Diego. So we'll see when he's able to get on the field. This one might be one of the toughest picks, in my opinion, that we're going to have. Houston Texans at Chris's Minnesota Vikings. The Houston Texans are favored by 2. The Houston Texans are. Nate, we're going to go to you first while Chris figures out if he's going to ride with his purple. What do you think, Nate?
No Mix and no Pierce for Texans either.
I genuinely, everyone, it feels like every time you watch a broadcast, you hear the casters go, this is the hardest place to play in the NFL. And I kind of think Minnesota is top 3, top 5 for sure. It's going to be tough. I do think the Texans sneak it out and get it done. CJ is very dynamic, very good player. I just
JT O'Sullivan's favorite player to watch.
JT O'Sullivan's second favorite player to watch.
Besides Patrick.
Yeah. I think the Texans sneak it out here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game for sure. Stephon Diggs returned to Minnesota, but no Addison, no Dallas Turner, no Ivan Pace for the Vikings. It's going to be really tough. They played their behinds off last week. Feels like a natural letdown game. Texans are a really good team, even though they won't have a running game. I don't know. I mean, I want to have faith in Brian Flores. He made it really tough for Brock Purdy. I'd imagine he's going to make it really tough for a CJ Stroud, who's still pretty young in his career. But, especially after hearing JTO say that he just loves the way that CJ plays and thinks that he's at an incredibly high level, it's definitely got me scared. I'll take the Texans in this one. It's not making me feel good, but, I'm going to have to go with what my brain thinks, and it's going to be the Texans.
Well, here's an opportunity. I'll keep this one short, and I will take this opportunity to get up on the points because your scheme is crazy, said the quickest processor this side of the Mississippi, Brock Purdy, to Brian Flores about that defense. And I think that defense is legit, and something has been off in Houston, okay? We talk about the hierarchy, too many weapons. I'm going Minnesota. The line's only 2. I'm taking Minnesota. And I think they're going to take care of business. I don't know how long this is going to last for Minnesota, but I do think that this will show a couple cracks in the armor for the Texans, who just have not looked as electric as last season. All right, next on the list, another one where there's going to be some differences here. Could be a good week or bad week for you. Philadelphia Eagles at New Orleans Saints. The Saints are favored by 2.5. Obviously,
no A.J. Brown.
Yeah, no A.J. Brown officially out.
My fantasy team.
There's just something off. I'll go quick because, we got some games to get to. I think the Saints are going to take care of business. I'm just not big on the Eagles, especially without A.J. Brown.
I'm not big on the Eagles, but I'm not big on the Saints. I'm going Eagles.
Same, actually. I want to go Eagles on this one. I want to go Eagles. I refuse to believe that we're just going to come out of this week and say, you know what? Turns out we didn't want to admit it's true, but the Saints are just one of the best teams in the NFL. I just have a tough time seeing that that's going to be the world.
I am worried now. Okay, let's continue. There are a couple opportunities everyone. Los Angeles Chargers at Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are favored by 3. Chargers and that defense, Jim Harbaugh, and of course the electric quarterback play of Justin Herbert taking on Justin Fields. Chris, who you got?
Yeah, I really like the Chargers in this one. I know Justin Herbert's looking a little – I think he's questionable for this one, if I'm not mistaken. I think I just saw that. I do want to take the Chargers, though. I can't believe that the Steelers are going to be 3-0. Not that the Chargers are really world beaters either, but it just feels like they should be able to control the ball. This is going to be, I think, an incredibly boring game. The clock is probably going to go incredibly fast because both teams are just going to run the ball. I do think the Chargers are the better team, though. I'm going to go Chargers.
Nate?
As we speed things up here, I'm just going to go Steelers. This is a nothing burger game for me. No effect on, as a Niners fan, I don't really care about this at all. They're two teams I can't get a beat on. Just the Steelers.
I'm going to go. This could be a terrible week for me. I'm going to go Steelers. I just trust that defense, and it's in Pittsburgh, and the Chargers are just missing one or two weapons for one Justin Herbert. I'm going to go Steelers. Next, Denver Broncos at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are favored by 6.5. One Baker Mayfield, who Emil tried to trade to me. Denver Broncos at
For
Bucs.
who?
I'll tell you after. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. This is a quick one.
Yeah, I'm going Tampa Bay as well. I just don't believe in the Broncos, and I don't know why them traveling down to South Florida would make it any easier for them. 0-2 versus 2-0. It's kind of easy to go Bucs. I'm going Bucs.
Bucs.
Okay. And last but not least, for the morning slate, Green Bay Packers at Tennessee Titans. You have Green Bay. They are underdogs to the Titans by 3. Jordan Love might play. This is a tough one. I'm going Green Bay regardless. I don't know why Will Levis is still starting. I just don't get it,
Who's
guys.
backing him up?
The whole process makes no sense to me. I don't know, but I'm going Green Bay. 3 points for Titans, really?
Yeah, I'm going Green Bay, too. The fact that they were able to beat the Colts last week shows that they can still at least put a competent game plan together, and I just don't think there's any universe in which the Titans can move the ball. Malik Willis gets the best of the revenge game.
That's true, too.
And you have Mason Rudolph as Will Levis's backup.
That's also bad. Coming up next, we got the afternoon slate and the night game. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Our first year as the radio home of the San Francisco 49ers is one we will never forget.
And Logan Ryan picks him up. Looks like they're playing man. Laporta's over there as well. It's 5 out. It's empty on 4th down. Goff back. Not going to get out to his right. Being chased. Throws, and it is incomplete. The 49ers take over on 4th down again.
Congratulations to the 49ers on a terrific year. And thank you for so many wonderful memories.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ROCKY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text ROCKY to 42424. That's ROCKY to 42424.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted it close to town, with a picture window overlooking a yard. And you found it. Now, when you sit down to dinner, you've got front row seats too. Your neighbor's daily pickleball game. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
Sacramento, Dierks Bentley's coming to town.
Getting drunk on a plane.
For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park for Country in the Part 2.
What was I thinking?
And he's bringing some friends. Parmalee,
Close your eyes
Tyler Rich, Dasha, and more. Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House.
As a mom, I'd do anything to keep my child out of physical pain. Dr. Pamela Maida is a board-certified orthopedic surgeon. As a doctor, I know that growth spurts can cause pain in my child's feet, and that can affect their legs and back too. Good Feet Youth Arch supports are designed to alleviate, even eliminate common pain. Investing in youth arch supports for your child or team is one of the best decisions you can make.
Come to the Good Feet store now for a free fitting and test walk.
Catch all the action at Sky River Casino. Enjoy over 80 table games, more than 2,100 slot machines, and a thrilling high-limit room. Plus, with 18 elevated restaurants, bars, and lounge destinations, and Sky River rewards that add up and up. There's something for everyone. Just minutes from Sacramento, right off Highway 99 in Elk Grove. Join in the fun and experience new heights. Sky's the limit at Sky River Casino. Visit skyriver.com today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Model Year End pricing is back at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
During the Model Year End event, lower interest rates at Folsom Lake Honda make lower payments. It's no wonder why Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop. Come in today or check out our entire inventory online at folsomlakehonda.com.
Get an instant cash offer for your trade at folsomlakehonda.com. We'll buy your car whether you buy from us or not. Folsom Lake Honda is your one-stop Honda shop.
Folsom Lake Honda. Go to folsomlakehonda.com. One-stop Honda shop.
Sacktown Sports.
Call or text at 916-339-1140.
Time for the afternoon set. Guys, I'm really nervous now. I'm either going to be bragging or we could split, or I'm in a terrible position and I'm chasing.
So every possible.
Yeah, it's going to be any of those, but something
will happen. I bet my life on it.
Yeah, something will happen, and something's going to happen in the afternoon slate as we power through Carolina Panthers. Oh, this is the one we've talked about a lot, so we can get through it quickly. Carolina Panthers at Las Vegas Raiders. They open up Allegiant for this season. Raiders favored by 6. That's what you were saying, Chris, via ESPN. I don't know that I would touch that, but I'm going to trust my Raiders to get it done. Chris Watkins, who you got?
I'm really scared. I really want to go Panthers. In my heart of hearts, I probably believe Panthers, but I think I'm going to go Raiders. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but fool me once. This is the one opportunity. This is the one benefit of the doubt I'm going to give the Raiders all season long. Please do not burn me. I'll go Raiders.
This has writing on the wall nonstop to be a Raiders letdown loss, 100%. Just with the Andy Dalton switch, all that, the home opener. And I can't go against my gut this time. I'm just going to pick the Panthers.
Wow.
I wish I was as brave as
wow.
I really do.
Again, this is a toss-up.
Get out. Wow. Okay.
I'd definitely take the spread. I'll tell you that.
Oh, well,
yes.
That's like, I think everybody's agreeing.
6, right?
Antonio Pierce. What are you made of? What is your team made of?
It's not him.
It's everybody. All right. Next. This is a confusing one. Seattle Seahawks somehow, again, Miami with Skylar Thompson at Seattle. Seattle's favored by 4.5. I'm taking the Seahawks, but I am staying away from those points because that's what the Seahawks do.
Yeah, as much as we just talked about how the Raiders are like primed for a letdown game, the Seahawks as well, 2-0, going against the Dolphins. I think everybody in the world is not expecting Skylar Thompson to do anything in Seattle. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I really, again, I'm marking this much like you are, Alan. I could see this potentially being a fraud watch or at least a hey, they are not who we thought they were but I'm going to go with the Seahawks. They should win. They better win. And, we'll see how it goes. Doubtful is Kenneth Walker.
Fins up, baby. Dolphins.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is the spiciest week we've ever had.
Last week was pretty spicy.
Well, we didn't go spicy, though. The games were spicy. There's a lot of differences here.
There is.
Nate, have you seen Skylar Thompson play football?
I hate the Seahawks. I hate the Seahawks.
Okay, so it's one of those.
Yeah, it's an emotional one.
You know, speaking of, guys, the Seahawks, I feel bad for this dude. When is Kenneth Walker healthy? I feel like he's always injured. He's always dinged up. I feel like Charbonnet is always playing.
Yeah.
He's like their Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far.
I don't know. Feels like Kenneth Walker is always dinged up in a way. All right, next on the list, another tough one, guys. This could be a fraud watch as well. Detroit Lions at Arizona Cardinals. I'm really mad at myself for not taking the Cardinals against the Rams last week. That one was obvious after they played the Bills pretty tough. Mad I missed out on that one. Will I miss out on this one? Yeah, Detroit Lions favored by 3 in Arizona. Fine, Nate. Since you're the Schwami, you go first.
Detroit Lions. Fraud watch is over. Are Lions on fraud watch?
Yes.
If they lose this, to me.
Yeah, no, they're gonna they got this one. They got this one. Dan Campbell's in a new house. He's safe. And we're happy.
It's a real thing.
Chris?
Yeah.
It's a real thing. I'll go Cardinals. Forget it. I'll believe it. They absolutely dismantled the Rams last week, and we know that the Rams were neck and neck with the Lions in that Week 1 game. Why not? Let's ride the wave. We'll go. We'll ride the red wave, and we'll say the Cardinals get the upset over the Detroit Lions.
Okay, go ahead, Nate.
I was just gonna say, did you pick? I didn't know if you were moving on or not.
No. I'm about to pick now.
I'm so excited.
I gotta go Lions.
Okay.
There's already too much crisscross applesauce going on. I'm going Lions. Next on the list, this one is gonna get dicey. Baltimore Ravens at Dallas Cowboys. Baltimore's favored by 1. The Cowboys have been a bit abysmal at home after getting dismantled by Derek Carr's Michael Jackson move and the New Orleans Saints. Chris, you haven't gone first in a while. Who you got in this?
Yeah, this one makes me nervous. I'm going to go Ravens. I think they're a good team, and it's just hard to see them going 0-3. The Cowboys, we know that they can trick off games, and especially when they play tough opponents, usually doesn't go the Cowboys' way. I feel good about it. You know, I think a lot of people feel comfortable going into Jerry World. I'm gonna take the Ravens.
No way I'm taking Dallas. Baltimore, they're desperate. They gotta win. A lot of pressure on Lamar right now. He's not playing well. I think it's close. I think they're both
played
very
well
desperate.
in the first game. They just lost.
Yeah, he played. He played well. You're right. He played out of his mind.
Not good enough.
Not good enough.
Yeah.
He will this week, and they get it done.
Jerry World. Jerry World. I don't trust Lamar, and I'm going Dallas Cowboys.
You trust Dak?
I was going to say you famously trust Dak Prescott a ton.
I don't. I trust Dak more.
Whoa. Put that on the record.
I trust in this situation. I just no. Hold on. Now hold on.
What'd you say earlier?
I don't move the post. You know, we can hit the post. You want to move a post, but I would say Micah Parsons.
What does that mean?
Micah Parsons is going to get after that QB, and I just don't think Lamar is going to be able to run around and do his thizzle as he normally does. I'm going Cowboys in a close one, and the Ravens are going to be in a world of hurt. That's how I feel. This one I think is quick. 49ers at Los Angeles Rams. 49ers favored by 6.5. I don't know that I would touch that, but the Rams, they're just beat street, man. They are beat up, and I'm going Niners.
Yeah, Niners.
Niners, absolutely. No way. There's just, no way. We're going Niners.
This last one coming off a game they had no business winning, and the Chiefs coming off a couple close ones as well. # holding penalties. The Kansas City Chiefs head to Atlanta to take on Kirk Cousins, Kirko Chains, and the Falcons. The Kansas City Chiefs are favored by 3. Is there no one who's got the stones to take the Falcons? Because it ain't me.
I want to take the Falcons so bad. You guys talk me into taking the Falcons because I want to take them.
I mean, they're at home. The offense is starting to figure it out.
They're hot.
They're hot. You still don't have
Pacheco on the Chiefs.
Pacheco.
Yeah.
Actually, now with no Pacheco.
Oh,
with no
I'm
Pacheco.
taking him. I'm
You're
taking
the
Atlanta.
Falcons.
Yep.
Chris, you're taking the Chiefs.
I'll take the Chiefs. Yeah, just don't bet against the Chiefs and don't bet on Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still taking Atlanta.
You're gonna have back-to-back primetime Kirk Cousins games. Back-to-back prime Kirk Cousins.
He's a new guy, dude. After the surgery,
I'm so torn on this.
like his knee.
It wasn't his knee. It's his Achilles.
Achilles. Sorry, dude. I know that really hurt you.
It did. Well, both. Yes, you hurt me now, and I got hurt back then.
You're taking the Chiefs or what?
I'm taking the Chiefs.
Okay.
I can't pick against the man, the myth, the legend. All right,
This might be the most differentiation we've
This
had.
could sink somebody. Seriously.
You sound like
You're going to
Stephen
be
A.
seriously. Box office sinking. I mean, last week I stunk up the joint, but we're going to see what happens.
Big Sacramento.
Prop Talk coming up next. Please stay. Whatever Nate says, fade him. Fade him. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out SacktownSports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and The Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, The Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on SacktownSports.com.
Toyota's legendary truck event is on, and the deals are legendary. Get $2,000 cash back on any 2024 Tundra, or get a great lease on a new 2024 Tacoma 4x4. Get to your Toyota dealer now, because this truck event is gonna be Toyota. Let's go places. Offer available through TFS to buyers with premium rated credit. Ends 9/30/24.
Deftones. North American Tour 2025, live in Sacramento. Golden One Center, Saturday, March 1st. With special guests, the Mars Volta and Fleshwater. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. For more, visit Deftones.com.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system? You were a bit surprised at how much it cost, or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Less is more? No, more is more. That's why Taco Bell's new $7 Luxe Cravings box is stacked with all your cheesy, crunchy favorites. Think a beefy 5-layer burrito, a double-stacked taco, a Chalupa Supreme, chips and nacho cheese sauce, and a drink for just $7. Live Luxe for less at Taco Bell and sign up for rewards to earn free food. At participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only while supplies last. Price and participation vary. Drinks exclude freezes. Tax extra. Rewards program subject to terms and conditions. Points earned on qualifying purchases.
Total Wireless is made to totally keep up with you. We now have unlimited data that never slows you down. Covered by the Verizon 5G network. And all for less than $30 a month when you get 4 lines. And the best part? We give you a free Samsung Galaxy A54 5G when you switch to the Total 5G Plus Unlimited plan. Visit your local Total Wireless store today. Total Wireless, we're totally with you. Actual speeds may vary by location. For data management practices, see TotalWireless.com.
Sponsored by Xfinity Internet. Enjoy ultimate control of your home network. Personalize your Wi-Fi name and password. Assign user profiles. View and control connected devices and more with the Xfinity Internet app.
Live and local. Live and local. This is Sacktown Sports.
One more segment with you. Shout-outs and closeouts coming up next, but we got some prop talk. So going over who hit yesterday for prop talk. You know, it's so funny. We sit here and talk about how everything is under and how you should play it safe. And Chris Watkins was the only one to go under yesterday, and Chris Watkins was the only one to hit yesterday. Breece Hall did not get over 63.5 yards, so I can't make fun of Nate because I didn't hit either. Jacoby Brissett. Well,
I deserve it, though. I think you can't make fun of me. My pick was bad.
I mean, I got closer than you, if that matters. But, yeah, Brissett, I mean, that's the thing, man. You want the whole – that's a whole thing with this – sit behind a guy thing. I don't know if it's about watching the guy in front of them or just learning and understanding how things work. Because what are you learning sitting behind Jacoby Brissett cooking up 98 yards?
I think it might be just like, this might sound silly, but like learning how to lose and deal with the pressure of being bad, because out of the gate, most likely you're going to be bad.
Sure.
So seeing someone do that in front of you and come back to the bench and regroup and get their stuff together, maybe that's it.
Maybe.
I think it's just watching somebody else make mistakes so you don't have to.
Makes you feel better too. Like, okay, I'm allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah, I think it's a gumbo or a combination or a jambalaya of all of those things. So, yeah, Chris, good on you. You trusted it. Wilson did get the tutty, but he was under on the yard. So Chris Watkins is in the green. Nate and I nowhere to be seen. Nate, you've already put in yours. You're really excited about this one, so I'll give it to you for prop talk.
Yeah, so Javon Hargrave has been a disappointment to the 49ers that a lot of people aren't talking about.
That was some big dad energy there.
Yeah, well, I'm disappointed, Javon.
Yeah, I'm not
in
mad.
your lack of sacks.
Yeah.
I think that Rams O-line is beat up and not very good to start with. He said it. This is a devil too, so this is a hard one. A quarter sack, so he just has to get a half sack or better, which means he shares, him and Bosa's sandwich Stafford or whatever. That's what I'm going to take. I'm going to take the half sack for Javon Hargrave. That's it.
Chris, you ready?
I love that, Nate.
Or I can go.
Yeah, why not? You can go.
I'm going to go safety here. I think you played this one last week, Chris, and it didn't hit weirdly, but we both wanted to play it. If Kittle is out, and Kittle, by the way, update, Kittle not at practice again. Right. So I talked to Emil in the common area, and Emil said he doesn't think Kittle's going to play. So I think this bodes well, Chris. They're leaving Jake Moody at 1.5. He only got to 1 in Minnesota, but I just think that the Niners will be able to move the football. Maybe the Rams are more bend, don't break, which leads to a couple opportunities for one, Jake Moody, and it is officially Levi South, so I don't think that he'd be super uncomfortable. It felt good when you picked it last week and it didn't hit, but it still feels good to me. And I just think that that's where they set all of the kickers, but 1.5 for Jake Moody to me feels so obvious. I just think the Niners will be able to move the football. Maybe they can't put the biscuit in the basket, and that leads to a couple Jake Moody field goals.
I've got one from the Niners game that I do like. I'm just trying to figure out exactly which one I want to go for. I'm all in on Juwan Jennings this week. I see his targets is listed as 5. I really want to take that one, but I think the lower number is 42.5 receiving yards. That feels so easy to me. He had, let's see here, he had 37 last week. And he was the third receiver. Right. He had 64 in that week against the Jets. Even in the Super Bowl, he had 42 receiving yards. I think 42 should be easy for Juwan. It's just kind of a matter of how much they pass. But if we believe that the Niners are going to put the ball in Brock's hands and let him elevate the team potentially, I think Juwan Jennings is the number one beneficiary from that. So I'm going big on Juwan, but I'm just going to take the 42 yards over.
I think that's a good call. I was tempted. I wanted to go Ayuk because I do think he's going to go crazy one of these games. Yeah, but they have him set at 71 yards.
I was going to say I think everybody's anticipating him.
To be honest, though,
and no Kittle either. I'm feeling even better about Juwan.
Yeah, to be honest, though, I would say. And by the way, John Lynch was on the Niners. San Francisco, their main flagship, and he said that, and I don't think this guy is even on Prop Talk, but Jacob Cowing, look for Jacob Cowing to get a couple opportunities, and they really like him and his explosiveness. As far as Ayuk is concerned, I'd stay away from and I'm talking like I actually know what I'm talking about, stay away from the yards, but I wouldn't be surprised if he scores a touchdown. I would stay away from the yards, but I think he might get in the end zone. I think Rams might try their best to sell out on the run, similar to what we saw with the Vikings. And I think that could be Ayuk's I'm back. Maybe it's a 50-yard day with a tutty. 71 is just – look, I mean, to Chris's point, that sounds like $30 million.
Yeah.
71 yards or 72 yards to get the over. I don't necessarily see Ayuk doing that, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's definitely baking in for like his best possible outcome. I wouldn't even say best possible outcome. 71 yards, like you said, is pretty easy for a number one receiver like Ayuk should be. And yeah, again, if George Kittle ain't out there, I would imagine a lot of the passing game funnels through him. We'll see. I mean, there's a chance that he just absolutely goes bananas, and we're saying 71 is a lot, and maybe he ends up with 10. Again, DK Metcalf last week had like 10 catches, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think that there's a possibility that Ayuk just blows that number out of the water, and he just has an absolutely massive game. But at the same time, we all know this, and so that honestly does make me really afraid. It feels like it's boom or bust with that one. It's either going to be easy clear, or it's going to be you're going to be hitting yourself saying, "How did this not
cleared
happen?
in the first half?" And you're like, "Good to go, fine."
Yeah.
What are you thinking then, Al? I'm really curious where you're going to go with your pick here.
I went with Moody.
Oh, you went with Moody.
I went safe. I went safe with the Moody 1.5.
Okay, the one you wanted last week. Right?
Yeah,
which is probably good. Yeah,
it's just tough for me unless the Niners they just smack them and it's just a touchdown frenzy. I just think he's going to get 2 opportunities. It feels like he'll get 2 opportunities.
You would think so, right? He did last week. Well, the Niners went for it on like 4th and 2 or whatever, and then blew it. So
yeah.
He should have had that over.
Right.
And so.
But that's the thing now, right? And that's a good point, Nate. A lot of us are assuming they get to the red zone and then they take the points. But nowadays, you can't really bet on that. Imagine if you had Jake Elliott for the Eagles. I mean, they get to the red zone, they're just refusing to kick field goals, and you're thinking should be easy. So
they're just calling the worst plays. Over and over.
Yeah.
And Jake Elliott's like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Just let's put points on the board.
Yeah. What did I do wrong?
He'll make it too. Jake Elliott's one of the best kickers in the league.
209 says, do you guys not pick the Monday Night Football games? We do 209. Right. We just do it on Monday.
And it'll cause a little spice too, because if we're tied up, that Monday game will be split.
Too, so we can maybe
I'm so nervous.
How do you guys feel about doubleheaders on Mondays?
It's terrible. You got to pick one, right? Like it's
pretty
really tough to watch them both at the same time. And
one is bad.
Yeah, one also bad too. One is bad. The Commanders Bengals game. It's either going to be a blowout or it's going to be a low-scoring, close game, which I wouldn't want to watch between those two teams.
If Joe Burrow loses, I think he'll finally be brought down. I do think there is a lot of and Justin Herbert had this early, and then Justin Herbert, since he has not been able to win, has been brought back down to reality. People still think he's really talented. If Joe Burrow loses this game, guys, I think we're going to see some real fraud watch conversations. Now, I do know a lot of people said, hey, he may have lost to the Chiefs, but Joe Burrow played well.
He did. Yeah.
But you got to win. You got to win football games. A close loss to the Chiefs and then a loss to the Patriots at home and the Commanders, and I think are the Bengals at home again for that?
They're at home this week.
Yeah, you can't. It's just
on prime time too for everyone to watch.
They're also in the world's toughest division, it feels like, that AFC North. They're 0-2, and the Ravens are 0-2. Somehow the Steelers are the 2-0 team in that division, and the Browns are 1-1. You'd imagine if the Bengals go down 0-3, that's the biggest uphill climb you could have. You could maybe make the argument the season's over.
I think you definitely will, and that's why I think you guys both picked the Ravens, because if the Cowboys lose to the Ravens, they're not done. Right?
No, because the Eagles are a mess.
Yes,
the
exactly.
Giants are the worst team in football, and the Commanders probably not good.
If the Ravens, and I don't know why I picked the Cowboys to be honest, but if the Ravens lose that game, they're probably looking at wild card at best.
Well, you did say you picked the Cowboys because you don't trust Lamar Jackson, but you do trust Dak more.
In this situation, yes.
Interesting.
Oh man, this Ravens schedule is crazy tough though. These next 3 weeks, it's at Cowboys this week, versus Bills next week, and then at Bengals.
Oh,
yeah, they need it.
They have to. They almost have to have it.
At least they got the Bills before the snow. Actually, you know what? I don't know if that's
going to be a home
them.
game. It's a home Buffalo. That's also Sunday night.
That'll be fun.
That's
you
tough,
can
man.
You can change to the Ravens.
That is a gotta. I mean, yeah, you could definitely change.
You got the end of the show
because it's about as gotta have it as it is. I mean, if you go 0-3 into that Bills game, and then you think that Bills game is again a gotta have, like it's just that's a lot.
If the Cowboys had just lost, then okay, but they got embarrassed at home.
It's the Cowboys
home opener. I got to stand on business.
Cowboys got embarrassed last year against Josh Dobbs and the Cardinals. You guys remember that? Mm-hmm. And then they were going to show up against the Niners, and everyone thought it was going to be like they're going to bounce back. There was a week in between, but the Niners ate them for breakfast. So I don't think the Cowboys are leaning towards losing.
I'll wear it
in big moments.
It is what it is. All right.
This Ravens schedule is tough. I'm just it's staring back at me.
Like I said, last year was the year.
Yeah, they've got the Eagles late in the year. They've got at Texans second to last week. It's just they need to turn it around now.
I might text you, Nate, and I might text a group chat and switch my
No, you got till the end of the show.
That's not fair.
Why?
It's kind of fair. It's on record.
No, end of the show's fair. That gives you a window.
Off the record.
Yeah.
Can't have an off-screen death.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Shout-outs and closeouts. I'm going to shout out YOLO High Wheelers, Glacier Range Riders. They are in the championship series game. They lost the first game to Glacier. They won last night or 2 nights ago, and now they come to UC Davis, their home field, to try to go up in the championship series 2-1. You can go check out that game if you're looking for something to do on a Friday. One of the first times an expansion team in Indy ball has made it to the championship series in the Pioneer League. Great stuff, great ball to be played out there and will be played out there. So shout out Yellow High Wheelers.
I'll shout out my sister. It's her birthday tomorrow. She can't fully celebrate because she's 7 months pregnant or something like that. So we will we'll celebrate how we can. But happy birthday, Vic!
Shout out to Kale, my roommate, my partner in crime, Kayla Jennings.
Great,
the love of my life.
We will celebrate for your sister, Chris, tomorrow night. There you go. Thank you for listening to Stiles and Watkins. Thank you to all the callers, texters, sack chatters. Congrats to all the winners. Enjoy your time at UC Davis. Aggie up tomorrow as they take on the Trailblazers of Utah Tech. Whitey is creepily staring at me through the door, so it's time to go. We will talk to you on Monday. Drive Guys coming up next with Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper, and Jay Johnson. Until Monday, enjoy your weekend. Secure the bag, light the beam.
Keegan Murray plays here.